Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Podquester Mini, or as I believe Dina in her intro video said last night, hello, 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 hello. I don't know if I did as many as her, but I really tried to squeeze as many as I could in there. Louie, how's it going?
Wonderful. Big day, big weekend.
It certainly is. Not only are we here to discuss last night's mini, in which Johnny was crowned the winner by a vote of 4-3, but later today, after the podcast, we have the special event Sequester Survivor Castaway mini coming up. So what are your thoughts on that? I know we've talked a little bit.
Every weekend you think it can't get more exciting, and then it kind of just outdoes the last one. I think that the people last night had a lot. I was talking about it. I mean, the nerves must have been through the roof. We had a supersized cast, biggest cast ever, night before the first Survivor mini. So a lot of them are watching. Last chance to get into Winners at War. Like, it was so much pressure, I imagine, on them. And it ended up being fun. I think, we see so many different types of games. And I think last night was debated in terms of some liked it, some didn't. But I love that you can see a different form of Sequester Mini, no matter what the game. So I enjoy them all. And I think it was a lot of fun.
I'm right there with you, Louie. People have said it before. I think I've said it before. But to me, Sequester is like pizza. I think it's all great. I think even bad Sequester is good Sequester. So I enjoyed last night's game. Anytime anyone is like, this sucked, I hated the game, I'm always like, oh well, okay. I feel dumb because I liked it. But
it's like pineapple on pizza. It's not for everyone, but it is for some people.
Well, I can't relate with you on that example. But I get what you're going for. We have some great guests. We're going to be trying out a similar style to what we did with the last mini after show, where we kind of have a revolving door style of interview. So bear with us. We are still new with that. We're going to be doing our best to make it as seamless as possible. We've got a pretty nice chunk of people backstage joining us, and we're going to start out with a group of 4 to launch us into the first round of discussion from last night's game. But as we go, I'll be cycling people in to offer up their talking points if they come up. So here we go. To start out with the show, I'm going to welcome, he's played before. He played last night. Let's chalk up maybe the fact that he went home first, just to the fact that he was a returning player, and that made him the biggest target of all in some people's minds. Let's welcome Josh to the stream. Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Hey, guys. How are you guys doing today?
I'm great. How are
I
you?
appreciate you guys having me on. Despite being first boot, I've been basically begging since you guys kicked this whole thing off. So I appreciate you letting me on.
Absolutely.
It broke my heart. It broke my heart to start off the game like that, being that you said you wanted to be on here.
Mine too.
I was like, I especially was rooting for you because you had expressed that interest before. And let me tell you, I felt real bad to see the results of the first round.
I basically spent the rest of that night just like repeating, like going back and watching anything that happened last night, any of your coverage, any of the chat room, basically looking for anything to affirm me and give me encouragement. And so that was helpful.
Well, I didn't have anything bad to say about you. Just, there's in a game like this, there's 19 losers, and in last night's game, there's 12 losers. And it just so happens that someone's got to go, and people are looking for that easy first boot. Doesn't necessarily mean anything against your gameplay. I'm sure you would have done great had you gone further. But you didn't, so we'll never know, Josh.
Yeah, we'll never know.
We are going to talk about what we can with you, and I'm excited to have you. And you know what? That just means that the next time you play, you're going to have to play for redemption and stick around a little longer.
That's the goal.
There you go. Next up on the show, we're bringing in someone who you either really, really, really loved or were really confused or on the fence by. I myself was such a big fan. I thought he added a lot to the show and was fantastic casting. And I would love to see him play again because I think he could have a really strong shot to make it to the final 2. Let's go ahead and bring in Joe the Show.
I knew it. Yeah, Joe the Show. The show's begun, y'all.
That's right, Joe.
How y'all doing, TR?
Sorry, Josh. Sorry, Louie. We technically couldn't start the show until Joe was here. So now
the show never really started.
There you go.
The show has now begun.
I love comments like this. Who are you going to bully next? I'm going to bully whoever I play in the next mini with, if that means that I'm going to last one round further than they did. All right. Next up on the show, we're going to go ahead and bring in someone who I've played with, I believe, 2 different times, and we've never really got to quite see anything flourish in terms of an alliance, but who knows, maybe one day. He played fantastic last night, and it would have been awesome to see him go further. We have Jonathan joining us. Hi, Jonathan.
Yo, guys. How's it going? Oh, man. TR, if a Conrady came back in last night, I was so ready to work with one of y'all. Like, I was hoping Mallory would come back or something, but it didn't work out. But
yeah, hey, you and me both. I've been trying to get her to play again for a while.
Yeah.
Who knows?
The first family of Sequester, the Conradys.
Yeah, exactly.
A blood versus water sort of game. And I also, this is going to maybe be my official plea, I'll have to record a video pitch of it, but I want to bring her in and I want to play as a duo where, we're like bickering with each other over what secrets to disclose. So it's like, no, don't tell them that. Like, no, we got to tell the other person that. I think it would be
great.
A chaotic game, and I think it'd be pretty entertaining. Who knows? Audrey, if you're listening, consider it. Next up on the show, we're bringing in someone who promised to be very drunk very early on into the game. Who knows really if he delivered because he made it far enough to win, despite playing a very controversial gamble of a round where he chose to isolate himself on a safety roulette. Let's bring in Johnny.
What's going on? I love that intro.
How's it going?
Thanks for that.
Are you still from your game last night?
Yeah, I kid you not, like I couldn't fall asleep. Like the adrenaline rush was shooting till like 6:30 in the morning. Like it was like 5 hours later. I was like, how am I still feeling this 5 hours later? And then I woke up at like 9 and then I just jumped back on Twitter and I had a blast. I've never I don't know. It was fun. I got a lot of feedback. I got to interact with a lot of people in the community who I didn't even know were in the community. I've always been a part of the Sequester community, but only from like watching. I don't really talk to people about the episodes and the stuff I watch. So this was a ton of fun. Get and interact with people. And I got Winners at War next weekend. Thanks, Luke. I appreciate it. And anyone else. But yeah, I had a ton of fun. And of course I did I'm such a goofball that like all the controversial stuff I was doing, that's me. That's just always going to be what I do. And I'm also a strategic and social player. Like I play a lot of ORGs or orgs, whatever. So like whenever I play those, I'm always like a pretty big player. So I know I have game tact. So I just wanted to have fun because like as a person, I'm a fun person. When I'm in games, I'm normally like a different animal. So I wanted to bring like a cross to last night and it got me the win. So I guess it worked.
It's very true, Johnny. The win cannot be disputed now. So, whatever controversial moves you may or may not have made, at the end of the day, you can say, "Hey, look look where I got."
Absolutely.
Also, everybody was hoping for a memorable winner, and I think we checked that off. We did get a memorable winner last night, so that's a good.
That's huge.
Also joining us currently backstage, who will be kind of cycling in throughout the discussion, we have Bradley, PM, and Justin. So you'll be seeing them kind of pop in and out. Some of these guys pop in and out. And let's go ahead and jump into the discussion. So last night's game was a super-sized cast. There were 22 players, 2 more than the usual 20 players. What were your thoughts about that going in? Going in, not only are you having to suss out usually 19 other targets and strangers and possible returnees who are big champions to win, but now there's 2 additional heads that you have to kind of chop to get to the end. What were your thoughts starting out the first round?
My fear was the drag because I knew to accommodate the 22 people, there was going to be more drags. That fear proved itself for me. But, I was hoping that by playing this big, boisterous game, that people would be like, oh, let's not take out the guy who's, a lot of fun. We don't want to drag him. He's, crazy. We don't want to take him out. So that was at least a hope of mine. I didn't realize that boring people want the game to be boring, too. So, yikes. Miscalculation, man. But seriously, I was worried about that drag because that's the only way you were going to accommodate the 22 people. And I thought a big game was the way to combat it. So that was my take.
Yeah, for me, it was mainly like the numbers game and like how there's lots of rooms that like, you start with 4 people in a room, you got a group of 4 that you can solidify something with early on. And I was thinking, oh shit, there's going to be 2 rooms of 5. And that's more people than what I got. So I was trying to suss out like where those rooms were. I wasn't successful at all about that, but like that was a big fear of mine, was that there's going to be 2 rooms of 5 that are going to be solid and are probably going to run the game. And I don't know where you guys landed, if you guys were in a room of 5, but I think that was a major advantage in the game.
I started out in a room of 5, and through that first the hour that we sit there in silence, I knew I was in a room of 5, and I'd never been in a starting room of 5 before, so I was like, something's wrong with the numbers here. I was like, either somehow we have 18 with 4 rooms, and I was trying to do that math, or I even went further the other way. I was like, do we have 25 with 5 rooms of 5? And so that whole hour, I'm just trying to think how I could use this, and I figured out we had 22, and that's so I'm in my room of 5, and we could not figure out, we spent too long with the yada yadas at the beginning, and I'm like, all right, guys, can we like get things going? And then people start trying to come in, and we wouldn't move, and that, of course, ended up kind of being the end of me because I couldn't get out there because my room was trying to get something going, and I couldn't just be like, see you later. And so that was my thought with the big cast.
Yeah.
My room of 5. Oh, Johnny, you talk.
No, I was gonna say I started in a room of 3, so I was in room 5 with just 3 people. So
What?
I thought it was a particularly smaller cast. So when the game started, and like even she got to like 18 or 19 people, I was like, oh, like someone probably didn't show up. Like that's why my room has less people. And then every other room had like tons of people in it. My ex-girlfriend was in the game too. That absolutely blew my mind. She went out early, so it's fine. It was. I honestly, you just gotta maneuver and socialize the best you can, and try not to stand out. And that's it. Like that's what the early parts of Sequester is about. And having fun. I don't really know why certain people's names got thrown out early. I don't know why Josh.
Dina.
I'll talk about why I threw out Josh.
I'd love to know.
Yeah. So basically, your video bored me to death. Like everyone else had something funny in their video, but you just said, "I'm a youth pastor."
So I have a couple issues with this. One, I hate that my job was. I hate that my job was used against me. So I'm already thinking out my next. But no, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Intro.
No, and to be honest with you, to be honest with you, when I was watching the videos as they were going through, I knew that was going to be a problem for me because I did not put a lot of effort into it. In fact, I filmed that video like a week and a half ago for last week's mini, and I didn't get called on to play, so I just like used the same video again. And so I'm watching the videos, and I'm like, dang, these are some big characters. And I know, like, I got personality, like I'm a person, like I'm fun to watch and play, and like all that thing. I'm a person, and so I wasn't worried about that as much because I know that my game can speak for itself. People will get to know me quickly, and I've never had an issue with the games I've played getting in. But once my name was out there, it was a problem.
right away, my tact was I want to take out the person who bored me the most in the videos because I'm not playing that type of game. I didn't know, like, I don't know every single player from every single game, so I didn't know, like, how much you were involved with the Sequester community. Like, I only know, like, a lot of the bigger, like, I know Muna, I know TR, like, I know a lot of the big deals in the community. I didn't necessarily know you. So, actually, a lot of people said that, like, we were going for the people who played before. I didn't actually give a crap. Like, I was going for people who bored me. So, your video was boring, and that was the reason for me.
And so it didn't matter to you then, like, what? Because we got in the room together pretty quickly afterwards, and you were just set, and you were just not going to change your mind at that point.
Oh no, because basically what I did right away was I said, okay, we're a room of 5. So I was in a room of 5, and that's why I was going to jump in earlier and say. And I'm like, okay, we're a room of 5. If we just disperse to different rooms, we can control the vote. So let's just say Josh because he was boring, and. I'll go to room 1, you go to room 2, you go to room 3, you go to room 4, you go to room 5, and that's 5 people, 1 in each room. We can control the vote. We all say Josh, it makes it easy.
Well, and then the other reason that I was in trouble, I mean, I think there was not much I could do at that point. I was looking at the voting chart a minute ago. I think I got maybe 7 or 8 votes my way, which is more than I probably expected, but I think I did an okay job. I got stuck in that room with Alyssa, who was the person I was trying to get out. You were there, Joe, when I said her name. I said her name when she was right there, and I didn't see her. I was just in defense mode, and I said Alyssa, and then I had to quickly play that off as, oh, I don't want either of us to go, which was not true, which wasted more time. And then in a room later, I'm pretty sure it was you, Joe, that I was stuck in this room and you were making small talk with, I think, Matt or someone, and I'm just like, can I leave here because I'm not changing your mind and I need to go do some work other way. I was screwed from the jump, so I appreciate it.
Well, when you went for Alyssa, that was a great opportunity for me to be good with Alyssa because I saw Alyssa in the room, so I'm like, oh, let me jump right to that girl's defense so that she can use me as an ally. Now, she went home pretty early, but hopefully if she stayed around, she would remember that because I really was like saying, no, you better not do Alyssa. How could you go for Alyssa? That's ridiculous. Alyssa, of all people. Alyssa, come on. So I was like trying to be very aggressive against that. So I had her as an ally going forward. And she remembered that I would stick my neck out for her like that. You gave me a good opportunity. So
well, and I one thing I knew I didn't want to come up here, like come on this podcast and say, I didn't want to show up here and say, you all lost because you booted me first. Like, that's just not the reality. So, like, I understand that that's how it goes. Like, the first boot is just whatever gets traction, that's what's full steam ahead, and there's no stopping it. And unfortunately, it was the Show train that really was steaming forward, running me over on the railroad tracks.
Please don't give Joe credit. Please don't do that.
Yeah. So Bradley, Justin, PM, what were your perspectives in the first round? Where were your heads going into this, and how did you lead to voting out Josh?
Go ahead, Bradley.
Me and Josh started in the same room, and we had a missed opportunity because that was a solid 5. We were in a starting room with Lavina, Sam, and Ariana.
Yeah.
That's a solid 5, and we just didn't have. I knew I threw out Dina's name real quick because I didn't like her video, and I was hoping we would just run with that. But somewhere, and then when I heard Josh's name, I was like, Josh, he can start in my room. And I even said, I'm like, I'm not. I started pushing for Alyssa. And I said, I told her I forget who I was in the room with. I said, hey, I'm not voting for Josh, but I thought we had Alyssa because the last room I was in, I was like, Alyssa, let's do Alyssa, and everybody was like agreeing with it. But man, I was so shocked Josh's name came up so early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Justin, you're about probably me and Justin had played together before, and I never got I don't even think I even saw you in the game one time. I mean, I was there for 10 minutes, but
yeah, I didn't want to vote for you because I remember this is my second time playing. I was a pre-juror in Mary Payton's game, and I started in a room with Josh. We each worked together a little bit that game, but neither of us made it super far. But Joe, I was in a room with him. He threw out a name right away. And even though it wasn't the name that I would have thrown out because I kind of wanted to stick with Josh, I also didn't want to stick my neck out because I really did like Joe's energy. I could tell he was going to be a big player in this game, and I wanted to be someone that he trusted. So I was like, all right, if you do it, I'm with it. But I didn't want to vote for Josh because I was thinking the votes were going to be exposed, and I didn't want to be put up that next round. So I felt really bad, but I didn't feel like there was anything I could do to save you.
Yeah. I mean, and with 22 people, like, it's impossible at that point to stop anything from getting momentum.
People watching didn't recognize like how I was right away because I threw out the Josh name. That got the train rolling very quickly. Like a lot of people it was controversial when I went and gave a confession. I'm like, haha, I took out Josh, and like I was joking about it, and everyone was like, how could you do that? There's 22 people in the game. How could you single-handedly do that? Because it's not about that, right? Just like Rachel Riley in the cast of 20 single-handedly took out Kristen McInnes. In the first vote, it's all about like the name that just gets the most momentum. And only one person needs to be the one driving that name. So I learned a lesson from Rachel, how effectively she was able to do that. And I replicated the play because I just wanted to establish myself as a big player so I wouldn't get dragged.
And I knew even further that like once my name was out there, I knew my game was sunk. Even if I had somehow managed to flip the votes or found an LOS, which I totally didn't even think about, I was just in defense mode, I knew my game was over and there was not much I could do from that point.
Yeah, and I tried to remain in the room with you a lot to watch your
Yep. Didn't help.
And also, I feel like my room, I wanted Alyssa and Johnny because I actually threw out Johnny's name because I remembered from Drew's last game, he was very drunk. And I was just saying that if you let the drunk people get far, they'll get very drunk and it would be a problematic thing for the gamers. And I brought that up the first room with my starting room, which had Jonathan, Dan, British Dan, and Crystal. And I just said, and Alyssa, because she said like it seemed like she wasn't want to be there, so that's why that was the two names. But after I went to the second room, Josh, and they all locked. I actually threw out Alyssa, and no one was budging. Like
no one even considered the fact that Josh might have an LOS. They just, I like, and I was like, this is a problem here. I don't know. I just sense a problem of people just like one name and done. It's even though it's a big cast, it's a very unanimous vote kind of cast. And I kind of see my problem starting from there.
So PM, who did you end up voting for in the first round?
I voted for Alyssa.
Okay, me too.
I voted for Alyssa.
If you look at the vote chart, there were a good number of votes that were thrown on Alyssa, which was like fine for me. I mean, because if Josh had an LOS, as long as it wasn't my name being thrown out there, I really don't care. But yeah, Alyssa did have a fair number of votes thrown out. Ariana, Dan, Lovina, Matt, Bradley, of course, and PM, of course, and Josh. So there were a lot of votes thrown towards Alyssa. If Josh had an LOS, she would have been the one to go considerably. Only one person. Justin, why did you vote Nicole?
That's a good question. Oh, he left.
I mean, I'm here, but yeah. So I thought that the votes were going to be exposed off the bat, and I definitely didn't want to vote for Josh because he and I had played together before. I thought he would have put me up if I kind of backstabbed him, and I thought since I started in a room with Alyssa, I didn't want to vote for her either, and maybe get caught if the votes were exposed. So I knew I was never going to want to vote for Nicole again. I really liked her after round one, so I was like, I'll throw a throwaway vote on Nicole.
And speaking of the LOS, I think that's maybe the biggest regret I have because like there's nothing I could do about Joe throwing my name out. And from what I looked back, and apparently that LOS, I don't even know who got it, was sitting there for a while. And I had my monitor up, but I was dead focused on what I was trying to do, which really in reality my main focus when I knew that I was sunk was to find that LOS. But so for future players, if you know that you're about to be first boot, go find that LOS.
Yeah, that's what Kevin did in his I forget which mini it was. I think it was the one with Dash. Yeah, that's what Kevin did, and that's what saved him. He got that LOS. All the votes went on Kevin, and basically a few votes were what took out the first boot. So that's basically the play. If you know your vote's going out there, you wait to buy that monitor. It doesn't bother talking to people because you're not going to stop in my case, the Joe train, but in all cases, really the momentum riding that way.
Yeah. I'll say one more thing that I think is like super important for everyone playing this game is you got to have a good intro video. And I'm not saying that yours was not good, Josh. I thought it was fine, but someone thought it was boring, and that's what caught on.
Yep.
I taught myself how to edit videos, and just because I needed to get something in there that was not going to make me an early target. So like, I spent way too long on that dumb video, but I'm glad I did because it at least made me not an early target right away.
And not to and so that I can let you guys move on from my boot because I know it was like it started a trend apparently. Brent talked a lot about that last night about how me, PM, Lovina, all those people that got knocked out first. But I want to let you guys move on from me because I know it's at the end of the day my boot's not super important. I'm sorry, PM, that I ended up nominating you. I was wanting to work quickly in making those nominations because frankly, like I was done and I was like, this isn't about me. I don't really care. Like I'm just gonna throw names out. And the only name I wish I would have thrown was Joe's because I should have known that because I should have known by the way that you were acting in the rooms with me that you did not have my best interest at heart whatsoever. But at the same time, you were great television last night, and to get rid of you early would have been a shame.
Love it. Oh yeah, Brent was so pissed off when I went. Imagine how he would have reacted if I went earlier than that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was interesting how you did approach it, Joe, because, I mean, watching the opening videos, I, had a worry that this is too much. Like your opening video that maybe you would be a target because the video was so much. And I think you had a really good plan of immediately putting out a name, spending no time whatsoever in your spreading room and just having people spread before really your name could get out there. And really the hit was in on Josh. I mean, before he could do anything about it because there were 5 people spreading his name almost instantly as soon as the game started.
Well, an interesting note about Sequester, believe it or not, big players don't tend to go home super early because it doesn't make sense to do that. If you take out the big threat, like as Brent was saying, you don't take out the big threat super early. I was listening a lot to the pod last night. You don't take out those big threats super early. It just doesn't make sense because, first of all, later in the game, they're going to be the people you want to take out. And also, there'll be the people steamrolling names. If you're the person who's making good inroads with people like me, I'm not throwing your name out there. We're cool, and that means you're safe. So I'm someone who's just going to take all the heat while you can stay hiding in the kitchen, maybe in the fridge or something, staying cool. So there is a interesting, for me at least, who is this really big personality, who is a chaotic personality, to present that this is exactly who I am from the start. I'm chaos. If you're boring, I'm going after you. I'm here to play. I'm here to have fun, and I'm here to win. I wasn't. Yeah.
And perception is everything, because in my mind, I am not any of those things. In reality, I'm not any of those things. I think my video gave that perception, and that's all that mattered. Because like I've said in the past, in previous games, my videos have not been all that special, but I know that I can get in quickly with people, and I want the perception of me to be kind of in that middle road when I know I can get it going at the end, because people are going to trust me eventually.
Just as the production value was ramping up in Sequester, which is like Audrey is doing amazing work with the music and like everything that's becoming so professional. I think even the videos are becoming even better. And mine was honestly, it took me a minute to film that. Like, come on, it was a minute video that I shot in one take. So it wasn't anything special. I was just being honest about who I am and my big personality, so that you knew exactly who I was from the get-go. And I thought that the intent was if people. First of all, I was trying to get cast, but second of all, I thought if people watched me, they knew exactly who I was. They weren't going to go for this really big personality too early on. That was my
No boring ass booze. No boring ass booze.
Exactly.
Right.
They'll be remembered for a while.
Yeah. So, Josh, before we let you go, well, I guess two things. One, do we think that youth pastor now goes on the list of professions you need to lie about if you're going into a reality?
I was telling my wife this morning that if I make another video, I'm just gonna not lean into it, but I'm gonna be like, all right, last time I was a youth pastor, this time I'm a knife thrower, a sword swallower, and just go the total opposite direction. I always thought that youth pastor would be that is my profession, but I thought that, loyalty, good with kids, good with people, like relational. I was like, this is like a perfect opportunity for people to see like I'm trustworthy and worthy of working with. So, but maybe not. I don't know.
Well, just you're a nurse next time.
Just an extension to that, Josh.
Just you're a nurse.
Oh.
Just an extension to that. It was really for me about things I could relate to. Like I wrote down a bunch of things from everyone that I could have a conversation and small talk with them about. Like someone referenced Broken Matt Hardy, someone referenced Real Housewives, or all these pop culture references. I could go and have a conversation with them about. I really couldn't have a conversation with you about being a youth pastor. So I was like, okay, I can't really make social inroads with them based on what they said in the intro video. So that made you, for me, that was why you were a target.
Well,
at least.
Hey, you had to do what you had to do.
So, Josh, before we let you go, this led us into, obviously, you went out and you made your decision of nominating actually 7 people this go-around because it was a larger cast. What was your thinking going into that in terms of how you nominated 7?
Well, a couple things. I knew there was a couple names that I definitely wanted to put up. I don't even remember all the names I put up. I knew I put up...
I could go through them. It's
yeah.
Dina, Nicole, Nate, Johnny, PM, Crystal, and Matt.
So Nicole and Dina I put up because when I got in a room with Nicole, she was super quiet, and I could tell when I got in a room with her that she had just heard my name and wasn't going to say anything. So I was like, I'm not messing with that. Dina was one of the names I was trying to push, so I figured I'd just throw that name up. Nate, I wish I hadn't because he was, I don't know if he voted with me, I can't tell, but like I know he was kind of working with me for a minute. And so honestly, and then I just kind of was like, I don't feel like taking forever, and I just was looking at the screen and I picked a couple names.
Gotcha. All right, Josh, we appreciate it. We hated to see you go first. Let's go, Mets.
Appreciate you guys having me, and hopefully I'll play again soon.
Bye, Josh.
Love you, Josh.
See you guys. Respect to all of you.
Nice respect. Someone had to be the first to go.
And yes, by the way, I didn't get to preface this when I pulled the chart up, but thank you very much to Audrey, her team, for putting this chart together. A lot of work went into this, and it's very, very detailed, and I'm very grateful to have this at our expense to look at for the show. So big thanks to her. We may not get it every time, but when we do, we'll certainly be sure to pour over it here on the show. So thanks again to Josh for coming on. Really appreciate it. Of course, after Josh was eliminated, as we just said, he put up Dina, Nicole, Nate, Johnny, PM, Crystal, and Matt up as flops for elimination the next round. Yeah, let's talk about that. So going into the next round, for those of you who are up, for those of you who are not up, what was the strategy in terms of navigating that round?
Well, for me, it was not PM. I was like, we're not going to get rid of PM. Like, let's not do that, please, because he's a person of color. And I'm sorry, that's important. Like, it is. And like, it was, there wasn't a lot of representation in this cast. And I'm not blaming anyone, but it was like a thing. It was like, this guy is going to represent some people from around the world. He's from a different country. I think it's good to keep him around. He did play before. He is someone who is a target ahead of people, and he was also my starting room. So I was like, I don't want PM to go. I like PM, and I wanted to keep him around for as long as possible. But unfortunately, like it seemed like he was the name being thrown around. I don't know why, but
Yeah,
I definitely tried to fight as hard as I could for not PM.
I agree. PM was one of only 2 names that I knew were playing. I asked Brent for advice if he knew anyone was playing, and PM was one of 2 names, so I just gave him a quick Twitter message. So I was really trying to keep him too, but any name that I threw out there in that round, people were like, no, we're going to do PM. And I was like, he's an international player. We should not get him out so early. It just didn't seem to gain traction. I don't know who was pushing his name, but people were hard.
I actually agreed with you there. I think the only reason I went with PM is because I heard you were self-imploding. And I'm like, ooh, that's fun. But that means that you can't get out a name with momentum. So you're not going to be. And if you're self-imploding this early, I don't know. It felt like it would be easy just to take you out. And that was at least my take.
I told PM
when
that.
I heard you self-imploding.
PM was like, calm down.
Well, PM was
that was it.
PM was in a room with me to start that round, and we were like, I forget the name that we came to the conclusion that we were going to go for. But then the second PM left that room, I jumped to one room, I jumped to another room. 30 seconds passed, and people were like, yo, PM just jumped in a room and said he wanted to vote you out because you were too much of an alcoholic. And I was like, what? So,
you guys were going at it.
Me and
I think
PM,
that was another. Yeah. That was another thing. He was going for Johnny, and I was liking the bond I had with Johnny.
Yeah.
If you were going for Nate, I think I would have been more down with that play. But you were not consistent with throwing out a name, and I tried to force you to throw out. And I did. I yelled at you. I was like, choose a freaking name. I'm sick of this, like one or the other crap.
we said we were going to. Yeah. We like when you're one of the nominees and like you can't vote and your name is out there, the only thing you could do is just cohesively push one name and hope that the people in their head who are like, oh, I like you, are going to do what you ask them to do. Yeah. So like when PM was throwing out a bunch of names, people were coming back to me with that. And I was like, okay, well, like, if you could do PM, I would really appreciate it. And I think it was just because he was throwing my name out. But PM and I started in a room together. We agreed we were going to do Nate. And then I guess he just came for me, which I think that was the only time my name came up the next round too. But then Alyssa got dragged. So.
I heard that you two, your both of your all names were up. I'm like, why Johnny or PM? Can we go anyone else like Dina or Nate? Because I didn't vote for either one. I didn't want either of you to go. I tried to be like, can we not do either one of you guys? But dang.
PM, I think that's the one thing is that traction.
Why didn't we do Crystal? We should have done Crystal. In hindsight, 2020, Crystal should have gone then.
I like it. Go ahead, PM.
Okay,
go ahead, PM.
The reason why I went for Johnny because I already threw out his name last round, but Johnny was in my starting room that round, and I had to throw out Nate, and I kept bouncing to Nate. I kept bouncing to Johnny's room, like I really just was unfortunate that, and Nate wasn't getting any traction, and a lot of people were avoiding me. Like, I really can sense it when people just don't want to talk to me. And here's the deal. I've played this game 9 weeks ago. And I think I'm the only person who have played back-to-back. So in my time zone is Saturday and Sunday and make it to jury twice. And that reputation, that was mentioned in the game, and that was 9 weeks ago. I feel like I'm someone who really stood out from the crowd. And the reason why Audrey brought me back the second time was because on that round, there were people coming for me, but there were people who were saving me. And I think if I'm not in danger that much, I think I can just, I'm someone who I think people needs to warm up for me first. I just stick out too much. I'm being honest here because I feel like I'm someone who, obviously I have a very unique name. I am someone who's just very different and it really sticks out. And in those meetings I've played, the old ones, it's very, yeah, there you go. It's very
literally they tried to kill off anyone who has played a mini in the last month or two. Which is unfortunate. Why?
I just want to cut in real quick to say that joining the show, we have Lavina. So Lavina will now be in the mix.
Lavina!
All right. What were you saying, Joe?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that we were trying to take out like the second or people who play twice. That was never my strategy. And I was behind a lot of votes or stealing the action for a lot. It was just like
Ariana
the only vote
for it.
The only one I wasn't behind out of the pre-jury, and it was a reminder that she's here, is Lovina. I had nothing to do with that. I was trying to back away from that. No, Lavina. She's a meat, like she's someone who's going to be a meat shield. She's a bigger threat. She's a bigger target. Why would we ever do that? Are we dumb? Like, I didn't want to do that.
Basically, I feel like the reason why I threw out names, the reason why I threw out names and make mistakes was I put too much pressure on myself. I really did. I really was just so stressed out because I've made it to almost like very far in the game twice, and it has been 9 weeks, and it was just burning inside of me to get to play again. And for me to get that chance, I really put too much pressure on myself, and I just fucked it. I completely flopped. It was my fault. Like, I don't blame my reputation. I don't blame what they're gonna find a reason, and there's a way to survive, and I didn't, and I obviously didn't this time. I just flopped. It was too much pressure. I put it on too much myself. The game starts at 7 a.m. I'm already up at 3 a.m. because I was so anxious, and when you don't get a lot of sleep and you're just you just put too much pressure on yourself, and I just flopped, and I just threw out names. I try. Like, I really try. I didn't give up, but sometimes I just put too much pressure on myself, and here's the result.
Can I say something?
Please.
Okay, I thought you guys can hear me. So a couple of things. So I made the mistake of not thinking that people would paint a huge target on my back. I don't know why I did that, considering I'm sure I played like 2 weeks ago. I don't know why I thought that people wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I just figured because of the past minis and stuff. But yeah, so I kind of underestimated my role, I guess, or how people would see me, because I just thought I was like, oh, I'm playing with these new people, and like it's fine, whatever. There's other people who have played before as well. I recognized a few of you guys, and so I was like, okay, like I'll just play with them. But I was totally wrong, and it just seemed like the people in our mini weren't going to budge on the vets or whatever the case, which because, and I know that we've talked this to death, but like, and like Brent was saying on the podcast last night, I joined kind of late. I totally agree. Like, even Audrey was saying, like, it just doesn't paint a good picture for the people who are playing for the first time in our mini, because it's like, if y'all want to play in 2 weeks or even a month from now, people are going to be like, hey, weren't you in that mini, that Johnny one? Like, so it's
and I think it
makes a weird culture.
This was also the first time that I, from what I've seen, like, that people were really going for. So, and if a lot of people seem to not like it, hopefully people truly try to give everyone like an equal chance, especially the people who are returning, because those are obviously the people that are favored by the public. And ultimately, the reason why a lot of us should play these things, obviously we're selfish for ourselves. We want to win and we want to do well, but also like we want to entertain the 2,000 people that are choosing to take time out of their Friday to watch. So I didn't get it. It just, didn't.
You know what? I think it's different though if you have someone like Kim Matina playing, or like a certain who's like a huge name who's like, you know what, like if you're relying on Kim Matina being the reason why people come to watch, then you should not be playing. Like, you have to have enough faith in your game and your personality that you don't need to have Kim Matina in the game to get ratings. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to make this a fun show, but I'm not going to rely on people like watching for Kim Matina. Like, then be the show, which is why I was like going for people that were like laying back, laying low, and you know, like Lavina, like I knew you played before because like I saw your mini. However, like I feel like, you know, you played a great game and you were fun to watch. And the thing is, like, that's why I was saying let's keep the threats in. And as soon as I heard someone saying let's do it with threats, I was like, why?
No,
why?
It was way too early. It was way too early to do. Like Joe, I think Joe, you said you wanted to keep me as a meat shield. That's what I was. I think I went round 5, right? So I was going around telling everybody like, hey, like just. I'm a bigger threat. They're all going to vote for me anyways. they're not going to vote for you. So keep me around. And I just saw the voting chart. Every single person voted for me. So I'm like, all right, then I guess you guys don't want to meet Shield in front of you.
We'll talk about your vote when it comes up. We'll talk about your vote when it comes up more. But I mean, like for me, just to I'll comment on it later. Just for the PM thing though.
2 more hours of this.
For the PM thing though, because I have some thoughts. But for the PM thing, it really wasn't for me about you being a 2-time player. I don't know anyone. Lovina was a 2-time player that I knew, but I didn't know PM, honestly.
Exactly.
But
so for me, it was just because your name was coming up. You were just another person to me whose name was coming up.
But
even Justin didn't give me an alternative, and Justin wanted to keep you. So like,
I didn't know another name to get traction.
If he gave me another name to get traction, I kept hearing that name, and it was a repetitive thing for me.
I feel like go ahead, PM.
Joel, actually, when people threw out that name, that wasn't the initial reason, but there was a room. I actually watched this back. There was a room that discussed about this later, and like they were trying to say another name, and I was like, no, PM has played before. He made it far twice. And then they were like, oh shit, they were all jumping on it. And then the other room was saying, oh, he's an actor. Oh, he might be good at lying. And then they just stick to it. And then the other room, like, and so actually other rooms have different reasons to vote me out. And none of the names got any traction. It's my fault. My fault. Like I
get it. The reason I'm saying me though is because like there was only 5 votes against you. So if you changed my vote, that would have been a big deal. So like if you look at how the vote chart played out, the 5 votes weren't that many, and my vote could have changed a lot. So what I'm saying is my vote mattered, and my vote was not for you because of you being a 2-time player. And my vote was pretty malleable, but you never really convinced me. I had to push you to choose a name. You never really.
I chose.
And you did. You gave a name. You gave a name when I pushed it, but it never came back to me that the name was getting momentum when I wanted it to. Like it was not really. I tried to stir the pot, and you weren't helping me stir it well enough. Like I wanted you to help, but my arms are tired. I'm weak. I don't go to the gym enough. Quarantine sucks.
Jared has been tooting his own horn this whole like chat, like the train that he's been driving. Everybody, he's just tooting his own horn this whole chat. It's kind of killing me a little bit.
Oh no! When I come to my elimination, I'm going to be self-deprecating. I am so critical of how I played that, but I think I played I'm trying to defend the game I played because some people are like, he's not in it to win it, he's in it to be entertaining. Just was like that on the pod last week, yesterday. What am I time for me? But she was like, oh, I'm just here to be entertaining. No, I was here playing very hard, and the reason I'm talking about myself in the PM vote is because my vote could have changed a lot. It could have been a 1 vote that saved you. So, I mean, because it was only 5 votes. It was only 5 votes. And the Lovina vote, I'm not going to say was me a lot because I failed. I wanted to save her and I didn't. So I didn't play perfect. I lost, But I did some good things.
So that led us to, unfortunately, PM's exit. And PM it was a drag round dragging out Alyssa. Tell us a little bit about that in terms of your thinking going into that and why you chose to drag Alyssa out.
I just didn't get to meet her that much, and from the videos as well, saying like she wasn't like that was the feeling I got, that she wasn't want to be there. I'm sorry if that's not the case, but that's what I felt, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna drag someone who contributes the least to the game to give an entertaining game.
I'm so glad you made I feel like you made the right choice. Like I'm so glad you went that route.
Yeah, and I just was like, it was like I took like 5 seconds, like gone, like, and I'm out. Like it was just nothing personal. It's just how I felt in the game, and she wasn't trying to connect with me, or like I just didn't feel that connection. So yeah, that was it.
But yeah, PM, you were in the same room with Sam when you were dragging someone, and you were looking right at her, and she voted for you. I'm like, bye, Sam. But you dragged Alyssa, right?
I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that kind of person. Like I would expect you more if you're in my room and you had the audacity to vote me out. Like that's
the reason why I didn't say your name. I'm like, I'm not voting for Pam.
Yeah.
I'm looking right at him.
And she was the only one voting for me in that room as well.
Yeah.
But Yeah.
So I
Wonderful,
mean,
yeah.
yeah. The only ones that voted from PM, from what I'm looking at, are Ariana, me, Sam, and Alyssa. So wait, were there 4 votes? Oh, there were only 4 votes. So that proves my point even more, if I'm right. Well, if I'm reading it wrong. No, Mary. I'm sorry, Mary. I knew there were 5. Mary.
5
Wait, so
votes.
did Alyssa
that-
vote for you, PM?
Yes.
Okay.
Mary.
But there
So
were a lot of throwaway votes anyway. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
just. There was one instant where I came into a room and everybody was silent, and no one like I made my case. I said Johnny, he's gonna be a drunk ass, and then silent. No one was budging, and I'm like, okay, I made it too late for me. Yeah, and I'm just gonna say this. I'm someone who. I think I played an old school game. I think it has evolutionized a bit. That old school game, I think I can get very far. This one, I'm just someone who's just not that fast enough. I need to train myself to play next time, to be fast, to be like brave, to make moves, to make sure, like to make a point and make it stand and be strong in that. And that's like what I really need to fix as a person and as a gamer in this game.
Yeah, it was definitely a different type of game last night for sure, in terms of the new people who were playing and what they were looking to do, and who they wanted to remove early on. PM, thank you for coming. I know what time is it there currently?
It is almost 3 a.m.
There you go. So that is commitment to the podcast. So thank you for joining us. We definitely hope to see you again. A lot of us were rooting for you.
Thank you very much. And I spent 3 hours in my intro videos, okay, editing that thing, okay. So
You killed it.
that was a
good.
great intro video. I liked the
was.
intro video. It wasn't boring. That wasn't my thing at all.
thank you. So you guys better I love. Don't make it too long, okay. Your videos are amazing. Yes, I love you all. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye, PM. Thank you.
Bye.
And also, I think, unfortunately, Justin has to leave us now, correct?
I'm running to a little family social distancing cookout. So we'll see how long it lasts. I'll check back in when I'm home from that, and maybe you guys will still be going. But if not, I love playing with you all. It was great. I wanted to.
You played a good game.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know a lot of people were loving Johnny and hating on Nicole at the end, at least when I was watching the streams. I really love Johnny, but I do got to stick up for Nicole. When I was in the game, I always just felt like a really great sense of trust with her. So that's kind of why my vote went to her at the end. I felt like she was being so authentic, and Johnny and I were making each other a lot of promises. I don't think either of us ever believed the promises we were making, whereas when Nicole and I made a promise, I think we both kind of believed it. And then I was kind of floored at Final Four. Yeah, at Final Four, when Johnny was like, the one person I'm never going to vote against is Nicole. That kind of shocked me because that's who I thought I was never going to vote against. And I was like, oh, what do I do now? So.
And Nicole told me previously that she really liked you, so I knew by me speaking out at that, she would be more likely to be loyal to me in the Final Four than you. I wish we had an opportunity to talk, like deep dive the Final Four and 5 and 6.
That would be good.
But we could do that some other time.
Yeah, absolutely. Love playing with all you guys. So I got to head out, but thanks for having me, TR and Louie.
Bye, Justin.
Bye.
Thank you for
Bye,
joining us.
guys.
Be sure to follow Justin on Twitter if you want to stay in touch.
Hell yeah.
Have fun at the cookout. Joining us now into the mix of the rotation, we have Matt. Matt, how's it going? Thank you for your patience. Been waiting very patiently backstage.
Yes.
We love broken Matt Hardy references. I think only a certain amount of people got the broken Matt Hardy reference when we were watching last night, but we appreciate wrestling references.
I was
here
one
on
of them. I
Podquester.
love broken Matt. Delete.
I wasn't sure about Joe, but when he got the reference, I'm like, okay, I have to keep Joe around for a while because I have to work with him. He got the reference, so I was like, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things they did. It was kind of like, oh, okay, I can relate to him on this, her on that, this person on that thing.
Definitely,
and I love
I saw that. Yeah,
I had to talk to you about that.
Mm-hmm. So I was totally in on you after that. I was like, okay, I can work with Joe for a while. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a bomb right there.
Exactly.
So I wanted to touch on something quickly before we get to the next round, which was the Johnny and Alyssa dynamic, because that was something that was going around in the chat early on. Nobody really knew like who was saying it and what the case was and what really happened there. So Johnny, what was your initial, I guess, thoughts when you saw that she was playing, and did you interact at all throughout the game? I didn't even notice.
The only time I saw Alyssa, it was just, I did a lot of the like trying to be in rooms by myself just for fun, because I'm a troll and I like to troll the audience or whatever. But the only time I was with Alyssa, it was just her and I in a room. So I was like, oh my God. But like, I will say, like, Alyssa's become like a friend of mine, like after like we broke up. It really didn't bother me to see her in the game. I was like, oh, she's here. And I had an idea she was playing because she told me about the whole, like, her friend buying her friend the Patreon account or whatever. So I had a feeling that she might be there. But this was the weekend I wanted to play anyways. There wasn't much of a dynamic there. I was going to try to not say her name because I feel like that'd be kind of fucked up. But really, there wasn't, like, too much that happened inside the game with Alyssa being there. Like, the one time I saw her, I told her, I was like, Alyssa, I was like, people are not a fan of the intro video you made. And, like, you need to literally start going around and begging people that you love this game and that you want to be here. Because from what I was hearing, people were telling Alyssa to go fight for herself, and she wasn't, and she's not a very, like, aggressive person, so I didn't think she'd fight for herself anyways. But, like, she really wasn't fighting for herself the round when PM dragged her, and then even the round before that when her name was getting thrown out. So I don't want to say she asked for it, but like the way that she played, like she really didn't do much to save herself when the entire group of people were saying her name.
She asked for it though when she said she was forced to play.
Why
would you put that in your video?
I'm not going to say bad things about a girl I dated.
No, I know, but like, like, you know, keep that to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, just we don't need to know that. Yeah,
she's great, but she messed
she
up
seemed
on
like a
so
great
many
girl.
counts.
Yeah.
No, if she wasn't in my room, I probably would have taken her out over Josh because she bored me more. Like, I didn't get anything from that. But honestly, she was in my room, and part of my the plan was like to get everyone from my room to say a common name. So I wasn't going to go against someone in my room. That would have been dumb.
Yeah, she made a lot of mistakes. She deserved to get dragged. She deserved to have her name thrown out just based off of the video that she made, and also the fact that even after all of that, she really wasn't aggressive when it came to saving herself.
No.
Like, I know when my name was out there, I was so assertive about the fact that I needed PM to be the name because I heard the only names were me and PM. So, like, that's what you have to do when your name's on the line. And I don't think she's either watched enough Sequester or just knows how to deal with this kind of environment to actually be able to change that. And that's probably how she fucked herself. Am I allowed to curse on this thing? I don't know.
Yes, curse away.
Audrey's always welcomed it, so I don't know if these are the same things, but cool.
We'll talk about what the show does when the show gets his name thrown out.
For sure.
Nick has a question in chat for Matt. Please explain the Ica story. I think right up there with the fact that was it or was it not Nate's birthday was also, is it true that Matt may or may not know Ica? So tell us a little bit about that there.
Okay, so like saying I would know Ica is a big stretch for that. Like when I was in college, I was a fan of Big Brother and everything like that. It was before there was a Big Brother Canada. And my college put together this like 2-day Big Brother event that they were going to cast a bunch of people on. I decided to throw my hat in the ring for that to see if I could, play. I ended up getting cast. And then when I was playing, I remembered I played with Ica because I saw her a few years later on Big Brother Canada. And I was like, oh, she played with me in that college Sequester that I played in. So it was actually this kind of cool thing. And like, she was the exact same kind of personality in the one that we played at college. She was like totally dominated the room. She had everybody in stitches when she was making jokes and stuff like that. She made it all the way to the final 2 of that, and she ended up losing a audience vote, which was basically the people in the college that were voting for who would win. But yeah, she made it to the final 2 for that, and she was really good. Like, yeah,
that would never happen. She would never lose an audience vote in today's.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but that was basically the story. Yeah.
Bye, Neda.
Yeah, Ica will win every popularity poll from here on out for sure. Oh, yeah. So moving on to the next round now, we actually had a new challenge, a new twist, which we hadn't seen in a while. It wasn't a normal kind of Twitter poll. Everybody got separated into rooms. The losing group was Melissa, Ben, Crystal, Mary, and Joe. And the rules of this was different. So a person would be voted out and then would have the opportunity to pitch another name, and in essence, a public speaking competition as to why they should stay over the other person. And we had some thoughts while we were watching it as to the best way to play this round, but you guys tell me a little bit what you were thinking and how you wanted to approach it.
Well, first off, I loved it. Loved it.
I love the twist. Yeah, I love the twist because it was catered to someone like me. So I love it.
Joe, I feel like this twist benefited me the best because
it was. I love the twist. I
like
drags. I hate drags.
I'm good at it.
Screw drags. Fuck drags. I like this twist though. No, but seriously, like for me, I thought when I was when my room was nominated, I'm like, oh crap, America hates me. Or the world hates me because people like to roll around the world. I'm like, they hate me because I was the big personality in my room. I didn't even know the other people sounded their voices. So like, I was like, they have to hate me. It has to be like they all tried to vote me out. And maybe this is like my egocentric way of thinking, but it's like, I really did think because I was playing such an aggressive game and I was so active in the first 2 rounds that if my room was nominated, it was because of me. And I thought it was because of a comment I made about Kirsten McInnes playing a bad game in the BB Camp BBUS. And I didn't know that Brent and I thought that Brent and Kirsten were live streaming because they do that sometimes. And if Kirsten heard that, she would have done an Andy on me and made me out to be the villain that she just, for no reason, decided to target. And then I'd be like, oh no, I'm the villain for the rest of the game. So I need to be.
I think it was Melissa and Crystal who were the ones that like drove that vote there.
Was this
honestly?
The round? Was this the round?
Yeah, it wasn't me. Like,
was this the round with the wheel?
I just had to play twice as hard though.
Was this the wheel safety? No, okay, my bad.
It wasn't.
I thought it was
Joe,
the audience vote.
Joe, I didn't throw your name out there at first this round because I was like, I know Joe will be safe, and I just want to see him just annihilate somebody on who should go. But everybody in the room, I threw it out there, and everybody in the room was like, no, let's not do Joe. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the names that were thrown out, the ones that I heard were Ben and Mary the most, and that's what it came down to eventually was Ben and Mary.
By the way, speaking of Mary, just want to cut in. We do have Mary joining us, so I'm going to have a rotation.
That's awesome.
Dope.
What's up?
What's up?
How is everybody?
Great.
Mary always bringing the fire. I love it.
Thank you.
So how did you approach this round, Mary? Like you find out like you're up for noms, and then your name's out there along with Ben.
Right. So I didn't know at first that my name was out there, and then once I found out, I was like, okay, crap, need to redirect my strategy here. Because I was like, now I have to start thinking, like, what am I going to say? And like, what is my pitch going to be? Because I didn't have an LOS the entire game. So I was like, there's no even a shot of me getting saved at that point. So my approach was then like, okay, it's so early on. I don't have anything to go off of like somebody came at me. And I didn't want to just like randomly go at somebody because if I do say, then it's like, okay, later on, or their alliance going to come after me. So when Ben was saying my name, I was like, okay, I'm going to go against him. And then we were in a room and he made a big mistake because he was like originally saying, oh, I think me and Mary would be really good at the speeches. And then he said, I think Bradley asked him, like, who would you like go against in the speech? He goes, I would go against Mary because she's going to not do well. And I was like, you're contradicting yourself. So I immediately took that and I was like, that has to be my plea. I did see online that like I should have directed the focus more at the audience, like why the audience should save me, not more so at you guys. I was trying to do it more at you guys because I wanted further down the line, not have you guys come back at me. But yeah, that was my approach.
Right. And it was very close, that audience vote. If you looked at it later,
yeah.
Like, I was like, that was a pretty good split, you know? And I think you both were very valid, like, to stay in the game. Like, I think your speech that you gave actually gave the audience, like, a bigger, like, piece of, like, your fire and, like, your personality.
I think he had so much more fire than Ben's did, to be honest.
Thank you.
Because I liked Ben going in, and I talked to him more than I did with you. So I wasn't aware of, like, what your game was at this point. But then, like, after that speech and getting to know you further in the game, I was like, oh, Mary's, like, here to play. Like,
I literally... Sorry, you literally played, like, I think the way that you got to play that round is, like, if you're the person that gets voted out and the person who was, like, going for you and just be like the same way that Ben did you. Like, I think this was the first time we've seen this twist, and the way that you did it is the exact way I would have played it as well. And I think, like, you literally played it beautifully, and that's, like, what got you saved. And I think it was because Ben was just, like, he played the situation poorly, which Sequester so much about other people playing situations poorly and just capitalizing on it.
Well, I wanted you guys to all know, like, if he is contradicting himself, like, so early on, like, what is that going to mean for his game later on? Like, there's no consistency there. That's what I was trying to get across. But I sort of did something towards the audience, and then I watched it back a little bit this morning. And my mistake was like, I guess I was too quiet in the beginning, and people were like, I don't even know her. I didn't even meet her yet. So going forward, I won't be so quiet. But I think I picked it up from there.
Yeah, and that's the thing that happens. Like, that's why I voted for you. Like, that round is because Ben was more talkative, and you weren't as talkative at this point.
Right. I voted for you that round as well. But it's mostly because I started in a room with Ben, and he was talking to me more, basically.
Yeah.
But like, once Ben went home that round, and I remember after I was in the room with you when you won the speeches and everything, and you said, like, let's start fresh, everything's cool. I was like, you know what? I actually believe when she's saying that, and I was really good to work with you from that point on, to be honest.
Yeah, my approach with that, I was like, it's too early. And again, no one at that point I had known done me wrong. So I was like, okay, am I really going to come back in here like guns blazing, having to target someone? I was like, no, I want a fresh start because I want to be safe. I don't want to have to like, again, fight for my life, because typically you would then go for the same person the next round. I got lucky that it was the room roulette and my room wasn't chosen, because I totally would have been probably back up there. So I got to kind of skate through on that, but that was my approach for that.
Yeah, I think that was the most impressive part, that it was kind of like a two birds, one stone situation, is that the initial thought was who would be the worst at making their case. But what you did was, whereas Ben might not have been the worst at making his case, you managed to top him and also get out someone immediately that would be gunning for you, which put you in a much better place in the game if you did survive, which you did. And I think also the audience is always, I feel like in that case, you almost have an advantage if you're the person who is on the edge of leaving, because everybody wants, the person who is there and on the edge of the, on the brink and the underdog. If they put up a fiery reason as to why they should stay, I think the audience is always going to want to root for that. So I think you did really well there.
Thank you.
Definitely. People thought that us two, me and Mary, fought during the round. Like, there was a time I came into the room. Yeah, like on the Podquester, they were talking. On the Podquester, they thought that, and I'll explain why. So,
what part is this? During this part?
Yeah, during this round. That's why I'm. Yeah.
Oh.
So it was when Mary and Ben were arguing, and I came in, and I started trying to pick. So here's why: because I started trying to pick a fight with Mary because I thought Mary was saying my name for some reason. So Mary was never saying my name. She was saying Ben's name, and she kept telling me that. And I'm like, oh, wait, she's saying Ben's name. I'm going to shut up now. Like, I was just rambling on, and then she never noticed I was going after, like, I was targeting her.
There was one moment I did, because you were like, I forgot exactly what you said, but you were kind of like, what are you doing for me? And I was like, you're talking to me? Like, we were in the same room in the beginning. That's probably that moment, but I didn't think you were coming after me. I did watch it back, though, and you were campaigning for me, but it's fine.
Oh, yeah. I had to go with a consistent name. And I was the first to leave that room. We'll talk about with the Bradley vote, the first to leave the room thing.
Yeah.
And then I contradicted myself when I utilized that strategy, like backwards, right? Like I was the first to leave the room in that vote because I forgot about the strategy. And I'm like, I was just too worried about being on the block. But then when I had my saneness during the room roulette, I stayed in the room and I left Bradley.
I think we all kind of left out almost at the same time, because I don't remember even after like you exiting if we even had a conversation with anybody else in there. I think we all just left. So I mean,
okay. I didn't know what you guys did. Okay.
No, I don't think I stayed. I don't think so.
Mary, after your speech, I'm like, I'm working with Mary. Like, I want to work with Mary. I'm like, because I want you fighting for me. I'm like, okay, she might be like, but we never really got a chance to talk after that. But I'm like, I was a Mary stan. Like, after that, I'm like, hell yeah.
Thank you.
That was epic.
So I was going to say, so that led us to the Ben exit, and then on to round 4, which brought us to room roulette, which we're going to have to bring in Johnny for this one, obviously, because that was basically the Johnny show. I don't know if any of you went back and saw it, but everyone was on the edge of their seats.
Ironically, Johnny just stepped away to take a shower. So Johnny will be back in about 10 or 15 minutes and may not be here to discuss this round.
No, what? I want to yell at him. Like, what was
he took as big of a gamble in leaving just now to take a shower as he did in that round. Wow.
That was my biggest
fear. He doesn't want to confront it.
To be alone in a room. So like his approach on that, like I gotta applaud him. I would never, ever, ever do that because I would be like, it's totally gonna land on me, and I'm gonna be completely fucked over.
With my luck, the freaking wheel landed on me every single freaking time. Like the wheel landed on me, America landed on me. Freaking, all the bad luck that I could possibly have happened to me. Like.
There was moments though that I did like go in a room by myself to talk to the audience, but like never would have done it on the roulette round. That
never in the roulette round.
No,
basically, so it was me.
That's what Johnny did though. He went in for the roulette round. He went by himself and he asked somebody to leave the room. I forgot who he asked.
Yeah, multiple people. He was asking like 3 or 4 people came in and he said, "Please leave. I don't want you here. I don't want to go against you." Just so he could sit by himself. Which was a very interesting way to play it, but entertaining for the audience.
Yeah.
So it led to.
I thought it was crazy.
I was surprised he mentioned it in the final reasons as to why he should win. I thought there may be backlash against that.
Yeah.
People.
That would have been a reason I voted for him to lose. Like if I was a juror, like that was stupid. You gambled your entire game. That is not a winning strategy.
It wasn't smart, but I mean, I think you still have to give him props. It worked and it was entertaining, and no one's gonna forget that now.
He got lucky. I mean? It didn't work. It didn't gain him anything. He got lucky. He survived. It didn't work. Work means like his strategy worked. Making this long-term play. No, it didn't actually serve him any benefit, but it could have had some major consequences. The most major possible. He could have gone home. Like
Well, I think it's memorable. So at that point, it's like I think you have to give him props. It's a memorable moment that's not gonna be.
It was memorable, and he'll be remembered. But it sucks that the winner of this season, the most memorable move he made, could have gone down as the dumbest move in the history of Sequester Mini, and he's the winner.
Like, he put it in his speech, and he used that for that. It made no sense to me, and that's why I was kind of like, that is not a move. That's like, it's a risk. It's a gamble. I totally agree with you. Like. Yeah, it was absurd.
And I don't think Lee did it on purpose, though. Did he? Did Lee do it on
I think
purpose?
that's no.
Yeah, it was an accident.
No one uses it as a strategy. No one's like, you go into a room with someone. Like my goal right here is to go into a room with at least 2 people whose names have been up already, or with people that like you think are going to be smaller players than you. Like I ended up in a room with Crystal and O'Shea, but like Crystal's name has been thrown out before, and I was like, okay, if I'm in this room, I'm okay.
I wish I would have been in your room.
So like but I was like, no matter where I went, I was like, I'm chill because I have a safety net. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this one is like, it doesn't matter where I go. I should have stayed with Johnny.
I do want to talk about our room because Lavina and Joe, you guys were in my room, and
I loved my room, which sucks.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, let's go those names there. So it was Bradley, Lavina, Kaylee, Joseph, and Nate in room 1 that ended up being up for elimination. So
so I was so excited to go campaign against Nate because his name was thrown around. So I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. And then the first room, when I left y'all the room and I said, bye, let's go campaign, because you guys didn't have a vote, so I didn't want to stay in campaign, which
never leave first.
Yeah, never leave first.
We'll talk about. But
and then so basically you leave and I scream, Bradley leaves and I scream, stay.
All of us were like,
no one leave. We all go for that guy.
I don't blame you guys
and then I text him after. I texted him after I got out. What were you? No, Bradley, no. And I mean, listen,
because I really wanted to just vote out Nate because I had already voted for him in a previous, I don't know which round it was. And then you left and I was like, I have no choice because my whole room's going to say he left first.
Mm-hmm.
So we all need to vote together kind of thing.
The fact that you 4 pushed and you guys were non-voters, that you pushed my name and it stuck. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Because I didn't hear my name the whole round. Nobody tipped me off.
That's how it goes.
Yeah,
it's all about momentum.
It's so stupid though. It's like the worst. I hate that. I hate that. That's how it goes. That's just what it is, and it sucks. I don't know how to break it. I don't know how to do it unless you leave the room and you tell people like, "Hey, I left the room first. I'm gonna say my name, but like, I will do this for you. I will do that for you.
Yeah.
Like, make promises as fast as you can."
Yeah, I almost
and
left
throw out a
first
different name
and said that, but sorry to cut you off. But
No, go ahead.
like I almost was like, okay, you guys, no one's leaving. We need to move. One of us is going to get voted out. Let's do this. And then, but then Bradley left. So
there's
gotta be ways to break the
one
game.
more round.
You know.
Yeah, that was two. I did, Lavina, I started pitching your name that round because I did throw out Nate and then Lavina. And then Lavina is like the room that I went into. When I said Lavina, everyone was like more interested in Lavina than Nate. So then I'm like, I just ran with Lavina, which in hindsight, Lavina, I wish our room would have stuck together, like, and we would have worked together. Our original room, like you, me, Ariana, we would have crushed it, but it was a lost opportunity because you went right after me, but I hated that I left the room first.
With no choice. Like, I couldn't just be like, okay, all 4 of these people are saying Bradley, but then I can't be like, oh, Nate, you know, and he's Nate's in the room too.
Yeah.
And I heard people say Nate, and that's why, like, when I went into another room, people were like, who were you here? Or I said, who were you hearing? Just to make sure. And they were saying Bradley or Nate. And I was like, I'm good with either, because I didn't want to be like, oh, Nate, no, Nate. And then it gets back to you got the other people and they're like, what the fuck? And it gets back to Nate and he's like, what the fuck? So yeah.
If someone said, hey, let's vote Matt or John because he left my room first, I'd like, I don't give a shit. That's a lame excuse to vote. Like, that's a waste of a vote. It's a waste of a round, but you guys pushed the vote, so kudos to you. And I don't blame you.
What do you do in the event that no one leaves the room?
So
future games, nobody, just a standstill. Nobody ever leaves the room. During roulette, just stay there.
Stand off.
Yeah.
Stand off.
Yeah, it seems that's my thinking, is that we're going to get to a place as people continue to watch these minis where you know if that just no one's going to leave the room for the entire round. And what are the pros and cons of that especially when the room doesn't have votes? Like, you don't want them to be pushing your name, but you also need to get out there or it's going to be a complete crapshoot as to who's going home. So
I'm going to pitch a strategy. I'm going to pitch a strategy that's going to be the alternative. It's going to be kind of what they did when a room decides the one person to nominate thing, they'll have to decide in room who the name is going to be that they pitch.
Well, yeah, it'll be the same thing as like the rooms will decide for themselves, and that's what our room did.
Room
we initially threw out Keely, and then we would spread that. You know, like eventually the rooms would do it themselves instead of waiting for you guys to come out and tell us what to do.
Basically. You guys were deciding on Kaylee and Nate, Jonathan. Your room were deciding on Kaylee and Nate, and I totally just effed it up just by leaving my room, and I totally changed the vote just because I left the room. If I would have stayed in and we would have had a standstill in room 1, then it would not have been me.
And that's what we were saying, is that like, eventually would go to that.
The thing is I wanted to say, like I said, I wanted to go after Nate that round because I'd already voted for him, and I wanted to say, all right, you guys, I'm going to be honest, I'm going for Nate. But the problem was that that's when I started to realize that I had a target on my back because I was a veteran, quote unquote. And so if I threw out a name plus I'm a veteran, I mean, I got voted out anyways next round, but I just feel like that would have been horrible for me.
Yeah. I was like, this was a tough round for me because I definitely didn't want Bradley to go, but I heard everybody saying his name. And when he was pitching me Lavina, I'm like, that might be the only other thing that could happen. But I did want to work with Lavina too, but I just hadn't been able to get in a room with her. So I was like, what is happening?
Looking for you. I was looking for you so much, man. You have no idea.
From the videos, I was like, okay, I want to work with Lavina because she's played before, and I did want to work with somebody that's played before, and she had a big personality that I liked, and I was like, I kind of want to work with her. I just never found myself in a room with kind of conversation.
Exactly.
When you're on the block, when you're a flop, you don't want confusion. Because if there is confusion, then that means that only 3 votes can go your way and you're gone, right? Only 4 votes can go my name. And one room in the last 10 seconds can say, oh, we're 4 people. We can just take out Joe, make a big move right here. Done. He's gone. No, you want to have this momentum that's consistent throughout the room. So, like, Bradley could have pitched any other name. I was still going to say Bradley because I needed to keep it consistent. I couldn't confuse people. I needed to make people feel comfortable that Bradley was going and like there was nothing they could do to disturb the momentum. Because if there was, then they could have disturbed it in my direction to make that big move. I was always afraid of that, so I always was pushing that majority forward.
Look who it is.
I'm back.
I just ripped you a new one.
Did you? Cool. It was a good time to take a shower then, I guess.
Yeah, you took it right at that time that your most controversial
I forgot
move.
that we were going to talk about the room round.
Yeah, I forgot. It was like the one time that everyone has talked about me. I forgot that that's now, and I have to take a shower. I need to be clean now.
I really did feel it. But
from that shitty move. You need to be clean from the shit of that shitty move.
Yeah, that was an awful move, but it's a Johnny move. So like that's just like I've said it before. Like I said it with you guys before we aired. Like that's just who I am. So like I wanted to do stuff like that because that's just how I am as a person. Like if I got wheeled out, I'd have really funny footage for me for the next few months. If I survived, I have really funny footage of me for the next few months. Like I just
played the game to have funny footage?
I've played twice already, made the top 5 both times, didn't think that anyone was actually going to let me get close this time. So when we started getting to the jury phase and I realized that people didn't know that I was an ex-player, then obviously...
When did you play recently, like in the last, Winners at War minis?
No.
When did you play? Because you say this and I don't ever remember seeing you.
I know, that was the beauty of it. So there were 3 iterations of minis that Audrey has done. She did a series of them last summer, and I played in 2 of them, and I came in 2nd, and I came in 5th. So this was my first time playing in this iteration, where most people didn't remember me.
So are you saying we lost to someone who was looking for a laugh reel?
No, because I'm
joking with you. I'm joking with you.
We could get to it once we get to the jury phase. I played the game really hard. And
I know. You were great. Your social game was really strong, and I enjoyed talking to you. I was joking.
Of course. And
that was subtle shit, fun shade.
The wheel thing is because I want to be a legend in my own right in any way that I can. So if I was able to do that, that's cool for me. I understand if people don't think it's a good move.
It wasn't a legendary move, though. It wasn't a legendary move.
No, it was a stupid move. But realistically, during Winners at War, if it happens again, I might do it again. Who knows?
Dude, no, don't do that. Don't do that, Johnny. Don't do that. You won this season, you better represent.
One can only hope.
If you screw up, you're the player from our season. You're the guy we have to root for now. You are not going to screw this up for us. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Brent's got it. But
it will definitely be remembered for sure.
There's people that play hard, and there's people that have fun.
It will be remembered as the worst move ever made by a Sequester winner.
Yes, sure, awesome. I'll take it. At the end of the day, I'm such a. If people who know me, I'm such a fun-loving, and I like having fun, and that's just me.
Yeah, so, I could tell that from your personality, and that honestly is probably what got you to the end because we enjoyed playing with you. Whenever your name came out, I tried to squash it because I really enjoyed playing the game with you.
Yeah, and
I'll say this now because
once we get to the jury phase, I want to start once all of you guys have said your piece. I don't want to talk over you guys because you guys were a big part of the pre-jury. I was a big part of the post-jury. But yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. I refer to the jury, buddy.
Mr. Jonathan, you as well. Well, that's why me and you were. I don't know. We were the people who were going to be here the whole time, I guess. But at the end of the day,
I would have been.
At the end of the day, I knew my social strategic game was going to be great. I wanted to actually do fun stuff like that because I just watched Tony Vlachos win Winners at War, and during his jury segments, he was talking about the spy nest, and he was talking about all the funny stuff he did. So I was thinking if I got to the end and I said a bunch of funny stuff, people would like that. I wasn't sure whether they did or not. We'll talk about the finals.
You know the best way to be a legend? Play the game hard.
I did play hard.
Play the game. Yeah, I know, but that's the best way. Just for anyone listening, it's not. Yeah. Do the dumbest thing and be in the one room where if the wheel lands on you, you go home. That's not how people remember you in a way that's gonna I don't know.
I love the Joe versus Johnny podcast.
Yeah, and Joe is preaching the strategic stuff that I always preach and yell to people about when I actually talk about the show Survivor. But here right now, I was just trying to have fun. I played Sequester 3 times, and I also, you're right, play hard and play smart. Maybe I didn't do both.
We're being way too hard on the winner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you guys are.
So that led us
he's the winner. He won.
No, I'm a Johnny
Not only
fan.
that,
Come on.
not to toot my own horn, but I've played Sequester 3 times now, and I've never done worse than 5th. So I feel like I feel like I just that's another reason why I kind of did some of the stuff I did. I wanted to entertain people. I've already done well twice. I thought people knew who I was, so I wasn't that confident that I'd be able to really get through it. But then people didn't know who I was, so I was able to really figure that out at a certain point when Lavina went home, and I changed my mind. which we were talking about the Lavina round before I came back, right?
Yeah.
Let's
so
go
yeah, so well, no, not as of yet. So let's lead out. So this led to, well, I guess the final words, the worst final words you could possibly say right before the round ended. Bradley, you said, "I haven't heard my name at all."
Oh my God.
And about seconds later.
Nobody tipped me off at all. I even told Joe.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I said, Joe, Melissa's saying your name. And Joe was like, oh, thanks for telling me. And didn't say, your name's being thrown out. So, but he was on the block too, so it didn't. I can't blame him. But yeah, famous last freaking words. I haven't heard my name at all.
Yeah.
Did I say I haven't heard your name at all? Oh, that was good. I was good with that. That was a good plan. Why would they want you campaigning? Why would they want you campaigning for someone else? Why would they want the pot stirred? No, if the momentum was going, let the tides go along the stream. Like, just easy. As long as it's not my name, I'm flowing down that lazy river. Like.
And Bradley, thank you for joining us here today. It was fun to watch for sure.
I'll see you guys.
Bye.
I can't wait to see him play again.
Awesome. Yeah. And now we're gonna bring in someone new now. I believe Dina is here, correct? Here she is.
Ooh, Dina.
Hi. My 10-second buddy.
10 seconds.
I twice. I've been told that I'm a little bit of a witch, and it's been confirmed. It's definitely been confirmed.
Dina, are the puppies with you today? Are they?
They're always with me. Heidi, Freckles, come on.
Oh, that was another thing about round.
There was not enough dog footage during the game last night. Aside from there we go.
Oh my
God.
There we are.
Adorable.
I was lucky to be in a room with you when we were voting, and you brought your dog, so that was like a good way to spend waiting for the vote to come.
Well, I tried to drop, part of my theory of it was I tried to make my fun fact that I adopted them when they were 8 so that everybody would love me because I rescue dogs. And it didn't work, obviously.
Hold on, my approach. I love
Oh, okay.
I feel like that if you did that next time though, people would be like, oh, she adopts dogs. People love that for her. She's too
I have to like be more, I can't do the like, they've been a Girl Squad for 10 years. I was like, they were going to die and I saved them.
You're an angel.
That probably works better. Yeah.
You're an absolute angel.
So that brought us to round 5, which was the classic 2 rounds, 1 vote. Decide whether you're voting first round, second round. What was y'all's strategy going into that? Did you think about it pre-game, since that seems to be a consistent one that goes through the minis as to whether you would vote first round, second round, or how did you play it?
I definitely was like, I was gonna say like, I save it. If your name's not being said, save your vote for the second round. Like that was my approach. I've learned from watching all these minis is that like save it. And then I was fortunate enough to be in a room with Dina, who definitely took this round by the horns and was like playing this round and the second round. And she was like she was making me feel very comfortable with how things were going to play out. She's like, I've heard this and I'm thinking we should do this next round. So I'm going to vote this round, but you guys vote the next round. And that worked in my favor. I hated the name that was thrown out there. But I knew I wasn't going to vote. But I did feel like I was like, oh, I really hope she has an LOS. And I thought you did. But there's no way we were going to save
I saw all of them.
Yeah.
Well,
I saw all of them, but I didn't get any.
I tried. I know we touched on this a little bit, but we could talk more about like the Lavina thing first, like how her name came out. But like I tried to play my LOS on Lavina, but I was too late. And it didn't count. And if I did, Dan would have gone home and Lavina would have stayed, and that would have been so.
That would have been.
I was gutted. That was probably like my peak point of just like absolutely destroyed. That and Melissa going home were just like so awful.
Johnny, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't like how you said that was your best game move because it ended up not working. So when you said that, when I asked like what was your best game move, and that was what you said, I was like, come on, you have to come up with something better than that actually worked.
I cannot wait to talk about the finals. I actually forgot. So like real quick, did you guys watch other people juror questions?
I did.
Yeah.
No, and when you
so
said that social isn't important, I was like, Johnny, what are you saying?
Yeah.
You're digging your own grave at that point.
So
why.
What I wanted to do, and we could talk about the finals later, I wanted to bring up different points consistently throughout and just talk about all the different things I did without actually answering your guys' questions. And like that was one of the instances where me not directly answering your question and answering it super poorly, like really backfired on me. And I knew it right when I finished the question. Because I knew I like crushed the first few jury questions and then completely blundered the last few. But it was fine either way. But yeah, that wasn't really a game move. It was just something I was trying to do and trying to set myself up. Because Lavina was such a big player, that ultimately the bigger player sticking around was what I was going for because I knew I was kind of louder. And it sucks that Lavina went home. And I don't even, I mean, obviously people were pushing her name because she was a big player. I feel like there wasn't too much that went into this round, except for people just saying like, oh, Lavina's got to go because people were going for those bigger players who had been vets.
And that was an interesting round too, because you tried to use your LOS on Lavina and didn't get to do it in time, but there were also 2 other LOSs that were played unsuccessfully in the same round. So we're talking that if you got to play yours, we were probably talking about the person with the 4th most votes potentially going.
So I think it was 7 votes for Lavina and 1 vote for Dan. And I think Lavina was the only vote for Dan. So if I played my LOS, I would have been the only person to play an LOS correctly. And then Lavina actually would have stayed 1-0, which would have been sick. And Lavina's vote for Dan would have been the only vote to send Dan home. And the thing is Lavina, I feel like probably would have gone right after that, but it was wishful thinking.
Yeah. Lavina's name would have gone out the next round.
Can I just talk because I'm the one who actually orchestrated this vote?
Let's hear it.
Is that possible?
So now.
And it wasn't about Lavina
Joe actually
personally.
orchestrated this, Dina. We're going to find out in a second.
It wasn't, yeah, he's going to come back in. It wasn't about Lavina personally. It was just about, I was a new player and I was just trying to make it not me. So I was in a group of 4 and I said, let's tether ourselves to each other right here, right now, 2-2. And I was willing to put myself up to say, if you have my back, I'll have yours. And the first round, it was Lavina or Crystal. And then someone came in and said, I'm hearing Lavina or someone else. And I said, let's Venn diagram it. If we're both hearing Lavina, let's keep ourselves tethered. And every room I went into, 1 person would vote for Lavina and 2 people would say that they would vote next time. And that's exactly how it played out. Because I didn't even know that you played before. Like, I'm an idiot. I haven't been watching enough times to like know the history of it. Like, I'm a Survivor player or a Survivor watcher. In my mind, I'm a Survivor player. But I watch a lot of strategy games, and I knew that what I needed to do was make sure I was controlling the vote, but not controlling necessarily the name, right? So I was going to hop in with whatever name, but I was going to make sure I knew exactly who was voting every time.
Yeah, and this kind of. Oh, go ahead, Lavina.
Oh no, I was just going to say that if that's the case and you did it successfully, because the names that I heard were obviously previously Dan, so I was still on Dan, and then it was I believe Duke. I forgot who told me, but I think it was like Sam or something.
It was,
and then maybe Ariana.
Well, what I was trying to. Speaking of Ariana, we actually have Ariana joining us right now. So let's go ahead and bring her in.
Yeah, Queenie.
What I was trying to circle around was to say that it would, okay, we need to confirm what we're voting for both rounds. So I said, we're all confirmed for Lavina this round. Every time I read your name, right? We're all confirmed for Lavina this round, and then we have to do Duke or Dan next round. Are we all confirmed Duke or Dan next round? Perfect. So it was for everybody had their reasons. You know, some people definitely had their reasons because you played really hard last time and you did a great job. I was just, you know, a roaming number, right? Just being like, if I can confirm that for 2 rounds I'm safe, and I have 3 people's names out there that are not Dina, then we're good. The thing where it really fell apart, which we'll talk about later, is that Melissa got voted out. And I was like, what happened to my tethers? I can't vote. And it was like,
and that was my entire... Sorry.
No, you go.
That was my entire point of my, I guess you could say, my campaign, because I was like, if everybody's on board to vote for me, like I literally, like it was basically unanimous. It was unanimous because I was the only vote for Dan. If it's unanimous and it's going to be for a bunch of other rounds following, why not keep me in and take me out at the 5th round? That was my point the whole time, and not a single person was budging. So that was my thing. It's like, okay, people like
I wanted to keep you in based on that information. Sorry to interrupt. Like I wanted to keep you in. The problem is literally everybody was saying your name. I like wanted to keep you. I had you, you know, in our original room. I loved our original room, and our original room was getting picked off and off and off and off. And I was like, what can we do? But there was nothing I could do at that point. Every single person who I'd talked to had been saying your name. And I'm like, if I'm not voting for Lavina, I don't want her out, but what can I do? So I decided to hold my vote because people were saying my name the previous round. So I'm like, I can't vote. I'm just hoping I'll be able to vote next round, and hopefully I'm not a huge target. And I'm so sorry it happened that way because I loved the way.
Yeah, that's okay. You know, like the whole thing I was only hearing. Sorry, I was only hearing Lavina or Dan, and I didn't vote, hoping that maybe it would fall on Dan, so that I'd have a vote to maybe save Lavina the next round because I did like her pitch. And I wanted to hopefully have enough people that were able to vote the next round to maybe not have Lavina go out the second vote. But yeah.
Right.
Because if you look at the vote chart, sorry to cut everybody off. If you look at the vote chart, there are people voting for me the previous round. And like I said, the round that I went was completely unanimous. So if all these people are voting for me, if all these people are gunning for me, that was the point that I had. Like, I see people in the chat saying that that you guys had no incentive to keep me because there were other big threats like Jonathan to use as a shield anyways. I totally understand that, but they weren't doing it yet. They were coming after me like guns blazing right away. So that was like, if Jonathan's going to be used as a shield down the road, his name hadn't even been dropped yet. My name
I don't think I was a shield at this point anyway. Like I was like, I think I was vocal and I was defending certain people, but I wasn't like maneuvering the game unless like, you know, there was something that people saw that I didn't. But like, besides like playing loud, I don't think I was like aggressive, you know, and I wasn't like that big of a threat.
Well, and like, I don't know if I would do that again, Lavina, because I think that was a very rookie move. Like, I think it was an easy move necessarily, and it was easy to get those votes together. And I think it hurt me later on because the people who were playing really, really hard, they were easy to get out early. And it's not a good game. Like, it's a scare game, and it literally almost like killed me later. And I think that when I voted for myself and then I was on the block, it really shifted how I played everything else. And your vote should have been the one that got me like, this is too easy. Why are people so accepting of Lavina? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it just because it was successful doesn't mean it was the right one. And I think in the future, for me, definitely, I'll have to think more closely if I don't know players and if other people know those players, to investigate a little bit more about why the name is so easy.
Well, that's the thing is like with these types of rounds. Oh, go ahead.
I'll be quick. No, you're good. I was just saying, like, people are saying, well, you have to understand the mindset. Like, people, like, from previous minis, people were, you know, let the vest or whatever go really far. But, like, I mean, am I just supposed to roll over and die? Like, I mean, I'm trying to, you know, play a game as an equal person. I'm not better or worse than anybody else. So, I mean,
I honestly don't think it was like anything that you did personally, Lavina. I think it was just the fact that your name was out there and it was the only name out there. And I think you were just backed into a corner. I think the only way you could have gotten out of that round is if you had an LOS. I think if you would have had an LOS, then that would have been perfect. You know, you would have survived everything, except you didn't. And unfortunately, and you were like the big name out there. There was nothing any of us who wanted to keep you in, like me and Matt, like neither of us wanted you to go. But what could we have done? Even if all three of us voted out Dan instead, which you said that was what the other vote was for that round. Even if all three of us did, like it still wouldn't have done anything because you would have had more votes.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the thing is because your name was put out there earlier on, it was an easy name to move forward with again, you know, because it's already in people's minds. It's already like they already got that flavor in their mouths that they just want to like, they've had a taste already and it's easy. And the thing is, if anyone played an LOS for you, like I was considering it and also Johnny did it. But the thing is, you risk someone throwing a rogue vote randomly, like to someone else. And then what if that lands on you?
Yeah,
which is shitty. But going to Dina's point about getting rid of the threats, like the mindset I had was going into that final four. Like you got to think that final four, who's sitting there? If you take one person who's like a weak player or two of them, whatever, like they're going to go further than you. You don't want to have a final two person who's not going to be a big player because you know what? They're not going to get votes. So I was always thinking in my head, like if I have to cast this final four, who is playing the best game that I respect, and how do I make sure that those four people go on? And for me, it changed round after round. That's why I didn't want Lavina to go this round. But the writing was on the wall, as was said. Your name was out there. I couldn't do anything to protect you, you know, which is why, like, going to the next part, Ariana, I was going after you because of when Melissa went, because you didn't want to vote Melissa.
Here's the thing, like Jonathan, you were never, ever, ever going to be a target for me. I like came into the game and I saw your face and like your vibe and was like, oh, I like trust this guy. And then I found out that you were like tossing my name out there. And that was the one point where you became a target. I think the reason that like the round that you went out, that was the round where I played an LOS. I acted all confused and everybody was like, what happened? There's a tie. Wait, what? And it's because I knew everybody was gunning for me. Every room that I went in, everybody was like, Jonathan.
Right.
But I'm like, no, they're going me. I can feel it. I have one LOS. I'm going to play it and I'm going to get you out because you're gunning for me. That's the only reason I took you out.
The thing is, though, Ariana, that's later, but we'll discuss that later.
So by the end of this round, unfortunately, that brought us to Lavina being eliminated. Lavina, thank you so much for joining the show today. We really appreciated having you on, offering some insight. Thanks
for having me.
Down below, if you want to keep in touch, you can follow her there. And thank you again, Lavina. Hopefully we see you play again sometime soon. Don't let the fact that a lot of returnees were getting targeted last night scare you out of playing again.
I'll try.
All right, Lavina. We'll talk to you later.
Guys.
Bye. All right.
Sorry for jumping rounds there.
No, you're
fine.
Well, they were connected. You know what I mean? Like they were so intertwined.
Yeah.
Well, that's why going into this, if I may, going into this next vote, just to preface it, we were in the room with Ariana, Duke. I forget who else was in the room with us, but I know going into this, Dina wanted to put up Dan or Duke as the names to go out there.
Yeah.
However, I was in the room with Duke, and Duke put out Melissa, and Ariana was saying, well, Melissa's not a big threat, so let's go for Dan, I think is what you were saying. And that's when you said that, Ariana, I was like, man, why is she going after threats? That's no good, because I thought you were a threat too.
I knew I was a threat. That's why I was going after threats. Here's the thing. I watched too many commentaries. I got all up in my head and I'm like, if I let these people slide to the end, there's no way I'm winning. I was trying to set myself up for success. I was trying to get to the end and it kind of worked. I got to Final Four. Then my brain literally shut off at the whatever. I'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I know what I should have done. I screwed up big time. But whatever. But that's the reason I went after them. And I know I made it a boring game basically by taking out all these big threats. But
I don't think that's boring at all.
I don't think it was boring.
Well, I mean, you don't want to play scared.
But I know, but then also you're not playing the strategy of playing making moves. I get it's hard because if we're playing for $500,000 in a vacuum and this is a different type of game that's not being watched live, then go for it. Play safe, play smart. Play a smart social game, which I think Nicole did. Right. However, we're playing a live game, and we're not playing for any money. We're playing for the privilege of being patrons of this game that we love. Have fun.
We're playing for the glory. What are you talking about?
I wanted to make
everything.
I wanted to be able to get to Final Two and be like, I made these moves. I tried to get these big people out. I tried to get out these targets.
But then guess who the biggest target is at that point?
I know, me. I know.
Exactly.
I know. I screwed up. I took out all the meat shields. It's just
But Melissa went this round, which is great because I think Melissa, at least for my thing, was I had one interaction with her, and I was like, look. I don't want Duke to go. I actually was I was a big fan of Duke's at this point, and I didn't like that his name was thrown out there because I was like, Duke's a little cutie. Let's keep him around for a little bit,
And I actually had at this point, I was kind of trusting Duke. I had trust in him, and I was I don't think he would put my name out there. So why would I get rid of somebody that isn't coming after me? Whereas Melissa, I had no idea where her head was at. I didn't know what she was doing. She would probably say my name just because we had minimally talked,
Right. And Melissa wasn't a big target. She wasn't a big personality, at least in my interactions with her, and people weren't even saying her name. So when she finally was a name that was out there, I was like, oh, this is perfect because this is the time, you get rid of a big player, Lavina. I'm not going to do a big player again. Let's get rid of a smaller player because we don't want to start this trend of big guys going out each one after the other.
I honestly wish during that round we could have gotten out Nicole because then that would have, But
too many people trusted her. Yeah.
So I was totally working with Nicole. I would have not really been on board with that.
I was working with Nicole.
I know.
I wouldn't have been on board. But
tried to get her out multiple times. Dan would be like, Nicole on all these different rounds, and I was like, okay, I'm there. I'm with you. We got to get out this person who I feel could win the whole game. But just nobody was going for it. Everybody just freaking loved her. It's just what can I love her too? But that's the reason I wanted to.
I think in some respects she got lucky sometimes.
That's fair.
Because, there was a point early in the game before this round where I ended up in a room alone with Nicole, just the two of us, for 3 or 4 minutes, and we just solidified something there. And it was the first time I got to be in a room one-on-one with somebody.
I feel like
I feel good about this.
Solidified things with everybody. That's
I know, but that was the only time that ever happened to me in the whole game. So I was like,
right.
I came in kind of being like, if I can get into a room with just one other person, I'm going to try to solidify something.
Yeah.
And that's why I felt good about it.
I made an actual like solid like official thing was when I was in a room with Justin, Nate, and Johnny. Was it Nate? Yeah, Justin, Nate, and Johnny. All four of us were like, we're taking this to the end. That's why at that like last round I was like, okay, bye Nicole, because I thought it was like solid, but I was like, okay, apparently they're making final twos, final threes with everybody, you know? Like,
yeah, I had two reveals that I really made, it was the Nicole one, and then there's another point where I was in a room with just Sam and Johnny. And I was like, I'm totally down for this 3. And I just wanted to have something small. I didn't want to create something that had like 4 or 5 people. Yeah, so I was kind of good with just having 2 separate things, or just one-on-one with one person, and then me and these 2 other people, and that's cool.
Right.
I believe we have a new guest coming in as well. Nicole is here.
Hi, Nicole.
Yay! Hey.
By the way, I don't want you to think I'm like trash talking you. I just literally like love you, and it's just you were so. I was trying to get you up because I love you so much, and I knew you could just win this whole game. You know, like
you were.
Ariana was somebody who I knew was not close enough to me to stick around for a long time, and I'm shocked to see Dan voted for me so many times. But he was also somebody I knew was not in my pocket at all. So. There we go.
One of my favorite Nicole moments happened in this round with when Joe was you were still hung up on Melissa coming after you, even though she had tried to make amends, and you came into the room and you were like, Melissa's after me, she has to go, and Nicole just said, oh, Joe.
I couldn't believe you were saying that.
I remember that.
Me too. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Oh my. Melissa, okay. So Bradley comes to me and tells me Melissa's going for me. Boo, you don't come for the show. So what I do is I go and I get into a room finally with Melissa, and I say, Melissa, you're going after me, aren't you? Tell me why I shouldn't go after you, because it's in my self-interest now. Melissa. And then she's basically like, oh, I wasn't going for you. I'm not going for you now. You're not going for me now. That means you're going for me like in a future round, like in the short term. It doesn't mean you want to make a deal with me. You don't want to work long term with me. She wasn't even talking that. She just meant in this vote I was safe. So okay, that was like the early vote, I think, the early late vote. So what I did so once I knew the vote was Lavina, I didn't want that to happen, but I knew I couldn't stop it. So why was I going to vote Lavina? That would have been dumb. So instead, what I did was I put my hands up in the room. I put my hands up. And basically, it was to show them I wasn't voting because I knew people would be lying. And I
saw that. I was like, he's not voting for sure because I can see his hands the whole time. I was like,
so then when I pitched the name, you knew I had I had vote power to actually pitch that name.
Right.
So I pitched Melissa, and then you were like, oh, okay, that name may go out there. I know I have a vote. I know he has a vote for sure. So that's 2. We can actually get this done. I can gain his trust, and I'll be like, hey, if we get Melissa out, I know which people are in my room that save Melissa. And I know if you did that for me, I'm going to have your back. Was I really going to have your back? I don't remember who actually, probably not. But in the future, I probably will when I play this game, like write down the names of people who did that. I didn't think of that at the time. But honestly, like that was how I played it because you go for the show, you gotta go. That was
and in fact, Melissa did in fact go. So it all worked out for Joe the show. You see, it's proof.
Yeah.
It moved
and even Crystal, we'll talk about that, but she went for the show and she literally went.
and
took you with her.
I couldn't believe you did that.
That was the one vote. I think Dina,
we'll talk about that. I'm hung up on it. We'll talk.
Dina, you too. I think I never heard Melissa's name one time, and then she was
not
gone.
A single
I was
time.
shocked.
Not a single.
But
time.
I didn't have a vote, so it didn't matter. But I was like,
same here.
Wow.
Joe, when you did the hands up thing, I was in your room for that, and that move, like I was like, okay, this guy is clearly like very loyal and trustworthy to the point where he was literally like, I'm giving you all my cards. So at that moment, I was like, I think I could trust Joe even more than I already thought I could, because I was like, that's a really bold move to like straight up be like, because you know people lie. They're like, I didn't vote, I voted, but you were very much like, I'm just going to be all cards on the table.
Same. No, I didn't want to
I like that too. I saw that too, and that's why I wanted to work with you. And then you kept coming after me, being like, Ariana, people are telling me that you're saying my name, but I literally like wasn't. Like, I think I was in a room.
I trusted you after that.
People.
I honestly I was on the fence, but I was not planning on going after you if I stayed.
Yeah. No, I trusted you even after we squashed that. I trusted you because I was like, oh, like this guy knows where I'm at. Like I trust him. I wanted you to go so far, and then you got, yeah.
We'll talk about the. We'll talk about.
Yeah. So that after Melissa's exit, it brought us to round 7, which was a straightforward vote, but it was a drag round with votes exposed. Couple of things to discuss here. First thing I want to touch on is with Dina. This was the round that you voted for yourself. So give us a little into what you were thinking here as to why you thought that'd be the best move to make.
I was just terrified. And I was really scared of the drag. I feel like my dogs made me really easy to catch on, both for good and bad things. And it was really early. So it's like, oh, I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is. Oh, it's Dina. Dina has dogs. Let me just take Dina with me and she can go play with her dogs. And so I was really pushing. I don't even remember who I was pushing for, but I felt like everything was moving very positively in one direction. And I was acting pretty paranoid to make people say like, oh, it's definitely not you. It's definitely not you. It's definitely not you. So that they likely wouldn't then also vote for me. And I felt like I would just get, I think I did push Duke because it was the Duke and Dan. And Dan had really started campaigning really, really hard. And I didn't really see Duke at all. So it was like, okay, not Duke and Dan, let's do Duke. And it just, the last second, it was like D. It was like 4 letters. What are you going to go with? And I went for Dina. And I was just like, this is a bad move. And as soon as it happened, I was like, fuck, like no. And I think I got really close to getting out that round because
I think it was Duke, Dina, Kaylee, and Jonathan all ended up getting the votes there.
Yes. And I had to do a lot of really, really, really quick campaigning of touching base with everyone and reminding them kind of where I'm at, and me telling them it might be a smart move, it might be a bad move. It saved me, so I'm cool with it. But me telling people that I voted for myself because I was playing a really scared game and like, please don't do this, and like, I promise I'll be loyal to you. I think it made people understand that like I will be honest in the future, which was also my demise later on. Like, it is exactly who I am. Like, I'm always way too honest, especially when it's a long time. And I think that because I was loyal to a lot of people and I kept touching base with them and I kept moving quickly, I kept wanting people to see my face because it's a lot more difficult to execute when you're like constantly seeing that person's face. If you're on the block and you're not moving around a lot, it's so much easier for people to just rest on your name and forget that you exist. And just like, it's an easy kill. You weren't even in our room, like go get you at the grocery store. And it's like a way simpler meal versus like having to like consistently look you in the face and lie to you.
Right.
And I'm pretty good at catching when people are lying to me. And I was really lucky that I had good advocates for me across the way that said like, no, like you need to go find them. You need to go. This group of guys is going for you, this group. And I would just keep trying to find them. So I think that's what did well for me. I think later on, being too honest was still my downfall, and not holding on to my most loyal people. Like the Sam vote, I feel like I should have like really messed that up for everyone because I think she was one of my strongest people. But c'est la vie. I probably will never vote for myself again, but.
I think there's definitely an argument to do it sometimes. So I
did it twice. This game, I did it twice.
You voted for yourself twice?
Wow.
Yep. So the next round where it was like the odd and even, my thought process, I'm sure we'll go into this, but my thought process was if there's a group of 4 or 6, whatever, like locking in votes, if I throw a vote on myself, it makes it odd. So I was trying to think of that.
That was going to be my plan for that round if I made it that far. So yeah.
Yeah. And then the vote where it was majority versus minority, I was like, I do not want to be in the majority and up for elimination and the drag. Like, if I do this, I will make it to jury. So I voted for myself because I was like, no one's gonna know.
Got it.
It's not gonna be released.
Got it. Those are smart. I almost voted for myself in the odds and evens round, but I was like, I if I do that, I'm afraid I'm gonna be the even vote. So like, I just put it on Sam and crossed my fingers, and it worked, thank God. But yeah, those are two smart. Good. Those are the only two places where I thought about putting votes on myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that led us to the Duke exit, which his name was out there for a few rounds, but it was a drag round. And
so there was
he
a tie
decided
first, it was a tie first, which was interesting because like I tried to throw my vote away on Jonathan on that round, and then it was tied, and then I was like I was going to throw my vote away again, but then I ended up in a room with Sam, who I was working with, and I knew from the first round where PM went home and she voted for him, even though she knew it was going to be a drag. I knew she would be doing that, and I should have thrown my vote away but then Duke came in the room as well, and then the last thing that I had heard was, well, everyone's going to be voting for Duke. And I was like, okay, so I don't know what I should do at this point. I just kind of had this brain fart where I just like, I voted for him. Thinking about it now, I should have just thrown my vote away because he was going to drag whoever voted for him in that room. And I knew Sam was going to vote for him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I feel like it's always bad news when you drag someone and they're in the room when they're deciding and they're looking right at you. It never ends well for anyone.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, who were you loyal to at this point? Like, who were like your top like three?
My top three, it was definitely Nicole, Johnny, and Sam were the three people that I wanted to work with most because they're the people that I had gotten to talk with most alone. But I felt pretty good with everybody because I hadn't heard my name in any conversation, and no one told me that they had been hearing my name come up at all. So I kind of felt good across the board, and I wasn't fully locked in on anything, but I felt like I had a lot of options. So I wasn't sure. Like those were the three people that I had at the top, and if I was like going with what I was going to go through at that point, that's what I was going to do. But it could have changed.
Yeah.
It
probably threw votes my way. Like,
I thought no one would vote for you. I was trying to burn the votes.
Yeah.
I did that too.
I remember. Yeah.
I was looking at it and being like, I looked at the name of all the people that were available to be voted for, and I was like, you know what? Jonathan seems cool. I don't think anybody's going to vote for him. So let me just throw it there and just not get dragged. And then
I threw my vote on Dina. That was why you were up, Dina.
Yep.
Not because I wanted you out, so I was hopeful that you were not going to be out. Oh,
you didn't consider that I too would vote for myself.
No, I didn't.
How could you?
When I heard your name was up, I was like, oh shoot.
I threw my vote on you, Matt, because like you said, you were like, oh, I'm so good. I'm like, his name's never going to come out. I don't want to vote for myself because I'm afraid, like, why?
You should never vote for yourself.
That's why I didn't vote for myself that round, because the way that I was thinking about Jonathan, I'm like, I'm sure people are thinking that way about me because I haven't heard my name come up, so I'm not voting for myself this round. Yeah.
I do think that, like, Matt, I think it would have been better if we had tried to stay with our room 2 longer, just because we had like a 5. Like, we were
and we
one
only,
of
to this point, we
rooms.
only lost one person.
Yeah, like, I think that I was definitely trying to, like, fight for you more than you were fighting for me.
I wasn't.
No, I'm kidding.
I never threw your name out, but I wasn't like fighting for you for sure. Yeah,
I definitely
was fighting for you, Matt.
Yeah, I definitely because I felt
I was
like
fighting. Yeah,
because just exactly what happened. It was actually the converse, because with Nicole, what happened with Nicole and Johnny too is that they got such a tight bond because it was just the 3 of them to start with, and so they were able to make it the whole way. But I was trying to develop. Well, I think it's because you were really great at making relationships in small groups. And I was trying really hard to make larger relationships and then make it small and small and smaller. But because that larger one, like room 2, just kept getting on the chopping block over and over and over again. And as I was trying to protect people, I felt like I was putting too many people on the block.
Yeah, my room went out so quick. Like, I was in room 1. I was with Lavina. Who was I even with? I don't even remember.
Because you guys couldn't decide that first round. Once you guys couldn't decide that first round and Josh's name got out there, it was like really tough, you know?
I will say, do you guys think, let's get a little philosophical here real quick, but do you guys think there's any benefit or not benefit to starting off in a small room like Nicole and I did, opposed to all of you guys who started in rooms of 5 and couldn't really rely on your original rooms as much? Like, do you think that had an impact?
I think that was a benefit for you because I think you guys were able to form a much tighter bond. I was in a room with 5 people, and we were trying to talk. Somebody threw out, who was it? I think it was John. He threw out Dina, your name, and then we were like, okay, any other names? Like, we don't know what to do. And then bam, room limit. You know, like, we had zero time to talk. Our room, like, we didn't do anything. And I feel like when you started in a room with just 3 people, not only do you have a closer group to like be solid with, but if somebody walks in, you can still talk. Like, we could only talk for like 10 seconds, and then we were like, bam, room limit.
So we talked for a long time, actually.
We did. We got to talk, and then we also decided that no one else would try to jump in the beginning. So we wanted to jump, figure out who were in the first beginning rooms, because the thing that's trumped me up on my past few minis, the one that I came in 5th on, I was in the final 5 with 4 girls who all started in the same room together.
Right.
Exactly.
I thought about doing that too.
So what I
tried to make
Nicole and Melissa just jumped to different rooms to try to figure out who was in the rooms. So I think, those lesser rooms might have a benefit. I don't know if Audrey did that on purpose or on accident, but I think it was really cool that it actually played out that way, and we got to kind of see that.
I definitely think it was a benefit.
I can tell you from my perspective, like, I was really cool with the room that I started with, and the fact that so many of us were on the block for so many of the early rounds, and that we had only lost 1 person, I actually felt pretty good about it. And even though none of those people were my number 1 because there were too many of us in the room to start with, like, I was more close to Nicole because me and her had a one-on-one conversation. I was more close to Johnny and Sam because we ended up in a room together, just the 3 of us. And I felt really good about the smaller relationships I made in those rooms. Yeah. I also felt good about my original room where, like, I wouldn't have said any other names because I felt good with them enough that like, I don't think I'm going to go to the end with them because we haven't solidified anything tight enough, but I felt good enough to be like, I'm not going to say their name, and I hope that they're not saying mine.
Yeah. You have to think, like, when you have a 5-person room, the chances of all 5 of you getting in a room again are like 0. So when you have a 3-person room, you may all 3 end up in a room together again, which like solidifies more of a connection, and you keep building on that. So I definitely think the 3-person room was a
huge point, Mary. That's a huge point.
Like, here's the thing. In my 5-person room, I just found my notes. It was Bradley, Josh, Lavina, and Sam. Those were the 4 other people. Bradley was in my room. I talked to him 0 times up until the point where he got voted out. I didn't want to vote him out because he's in my original room. I had never talked to him 1 time after that because our room was just so big. We just like could never.
That was at the lodge. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could never talk to them. So like getting in a room with just 2 other people, I think that was just so much better for you guys, honestly, because like people who were in my room, the only people who would have had my back were just getting voted out after the other, and by the time I got to final 4, I was like, crap, nobody has my back here, you know.
Yep.
I also knew that having these small groups was a strong strategy for me, at least because of how I socialized. So one of the things I did is always counted to 10 when I was alone in a room before I left, hoping to catch somebody alone. And whenever the group said, okay, let's disperse, I waited and usually caught the last person to leave the room, and we stayed and talked until somebody else came. I did that almost every single round. And so that's how I caught like Matt alone.
That's smart. Yeah.
That was really smart. That's a really good smart.
That's a good point.
Just so people know a little more about my strategy.
That's why you're our social queen.
Well, and that's what's hard because nobody else in the whole game can see me doing that because I'm alone in a room. But that's all.
Well, that round.
The Michelle Fitzgerald of our season.
You know what? I am a huge Michelle Fitzgerald fan. I own a Team Michelle shirt, so it's fine.
That round ended with, of course, Duke being eliminated and our friend Matt here being tagged, unfortunately.
It was unfortunate because I had some things planned for some of the later rounds where, like, I can just put it through there now. Like, about halfway through, I was gonna become broken. I was gonna have like a full costume change, and I was gonna be like try to do a different character at that point.
Oh wow!
And I was saving that because I just wanted to kind of just do something fun because I don't know, the way that I looked at it was I kind of look at Sequester a little bit like the challenge in a way where it's not just about trying to win. You're trying to get brought back because it's all about bringing people back. So I wanted to come up with something that would make people be like, okay, he was fun and like he was doing a thing. So I wanted to have like a kind of gimmick, but I didn't get far enough to actually pull off the costume change and all that stuff.
That just means that you're going to have to apply again, play again, and come back. So that way we can see that. That sounds like an arc that I definitely want to see and talk about.
Yeah.
Can we do an entire theme where everybody has to change costume in the middle of the game? The votes are long enough. We can do it.
Yeah. I honestly, for a while before the game started, I was considering like, okay, so if there's 20 people and there's going to be about like 18 rounds, I feel like I can have enough outfits to change every round. And I was going to try to do something like that. And I was like, it's too crazy.
Wow. Well,
You
maybe
should've.
now
You
for next
should've.
time, though.
Yes. I'd have to do more planning, but yeah.
Another thing I would like to see, and I don't know if it's realistic or if it's been brought up, like have an exact same cast play again. And see, like, how would you change your
That would be
strategy?
interesting.
I don't feel like that would go well for me.
Oh, yeah.
See how the outcome would be. Would it,
You could
people
be the
still
Sarah
or-
Tina.
We'll
could
see.
do a whole
We'll
new
see.
round.
I would totally do it. This was awesome, but
Anyway, yeah. Thank you guys for having
so much,
me.
Matt, for coming on the show. If
I
you
think
want
you
to
guys all
stay in
did great.
touch-
I really enjoyed watching you guys after I went. And yeah, great job, guys.
Take it easy, Matt. We'll talk to you later.
Yep.
So after Matt was unfortunately dragged, that brought us into the next two rounds. We had the highest even number of votes round, wherein Sam was eliminated. And then we had the button twist round, which brought us to the minority vote where Kaylee was eliminated. Let's talk about those couple rounds a bit. What were our strategies going into those? How did we get to a Sam elimination, a Kaylee elimination, and how did we navigate the twists?
So this is the one where I voted for myself because if a group of 4 or 6 were to come up and say lock in Mary, then I would have been the 7th or 5th vote to save myself. So that was my strategy for this one.
Right. During this round, I also debated voting for myself because I'd heard my name going around so much. It was like, oh my God, if it's 4 people who've got their votes done, if I vote for myself. But me and 3 other people said, we're doing Sam because nobody else has said her name in this game at all. We're locked in. We were going to stay in a room like the entire time just to like have like confirmation, like we're not changing, we're staying Sam, and that way it got voted out just to like save ourselves.
But then
and,
2 people came in our room.
Right. And then people kept coming in and then it kept changing and I was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? But it worked.
Yeah, but Sam, I was like, Sam, vote for yourself. Like, but she didn't.
It was
And
me, Ariana, Nate, and Justin, and we all agreed to do Sam. And then, like, the second I left that room, I went to another room, and someone was talking about how there was a group of 4 that made a deal to all vote Sam and not tell anyone that.
That I was like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah,
I'd
so we
never
had,
heard
like,
Sam's
we thought
name
that-
before.
Yeah, we thought
And I
that we
guess
were
they
right.
had the same thought. Oh, sorry. They had like the exact same thought process that we had. They're like, oh, we've never heard Sam's name, so we're gonna do Sam too.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is crazy because this round I always feel like, first off, I've never made it past this round. I've played twice, and this round always screws me over. This was like, as soon as this round came up, I'm like, if I make it past this round, dear God, I will like bring out the fire, you know? But like, so with this round, 6 people voted for Sam, which is unheard of that you like get someone out with that many even votes. And
I really wanted to spoil this vote, and I really regret not spoiling it.
But the thing is, the
I
next vote
really
was
regret it.
for Kaylee. So like that was still a high number because usually it's this round. What I've seen is that there's always ties, like
Right.
for 2-2-2s, and you
Right.
have a tie, you break the tie.
I feel like
I
everyone goes into it wanting to get a group of 6. And then and then there's groups of 4, like just in case. But like that's always like the mentality of like try to do a large group. But like you said, it never ends up usually working out that way. So
Right, exactly. And that's
that it
why
did.
me, Johnny, Justin, and Nate, that's why all 4 of us, we were like, we're locking in, we're not getting 2 more people because if we get 2 more people, it's gonna get like screwed up.
Wait, so
you
was
know?
there,
And
was there another room of 4 that agreed?
What was in the other room before that wanted Sam?
Yeah, he's the one. He's the one that told me. Yeah.
But the thing is,
before
Nate voted for me.
What?
Nate didn't vote for Sam.
He didn't?
No, Nate voted for me that round.
No,
Look at the chart.
We had enough to factor in each of our rooms.
I didn't see that.
It
Wait,
was
let me see.
Justin
Yeah.
didn't either. Justin was not like the second we made that 4-person thing, I was so with it. And then Justin, that was what I wanted to ride my alliance with, that and the fact that I was really trusting Nicole. And then Justin started throwing out Nate's round at the final 10 and the final 9, so I knew that alliance was moot. But like we were really trying to pull off that Sam thing. I think it's crazy that 2 rooms of people were pushing the same person and we had no idea.
I think it's just because we all knew that her name was under the radar and we had the exact same thought process. you
Nate
know?
did vote for Sam.
Oh, sorry. Dan voted for me. Sorry, my bad.
This should not have worked. This
No, it
plan
should not have worked.
Not have
We
worked.
got lucky as a cast.
We got lucky. Yeah, we got
lucky with the cast.
lucky with that vote. And I think the reason that Kaylee was the second name is because, again, she was another person that nobody was saying her name. So they're like, if we can get 4 people.
I said her
on
name so
Kaylee-
much.
Okay,
well,
Jonathan,
you did, but nobody else was like really targeting her besides.
Yeah.
Which
'Cause,
round
like,
did we start fighting over Kaylee?
Oh, that was the safety. That was like if you vote in the majority round. That was like the next.
That's the next one. We'll get to it. Okay.
Right.
I think we got lucky as a group. I think it's actually crazy that there were 2 groups of 4 that didn't stick to it fully. Justin didn't work with us, but the fact that it got pulled off is actually ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. Yeah.
Should
have voted for herself.
And the reason that the Sam vote even worked is because 2 groups of 4 had the exact same thought process, and then 2 people just like dropped out. If 2 of us, if 2 people would have said Kaylee, 2 groups of 4, it probably would have been her. But I don't even know. I think we just got. That was a really lucky round. It's a really hard round to get through. I think we're all lucky for getting through it. You know,
honestly,
I was terrified of that round.
There's the pen and paper way to play that round, which none of us did, and then there's the way that like we played the round, where we just truly, in my opinion, got lucky that it worked out. I think the odds and evens round, I say it every time I play, is the most crapshoot round.
Oh my god, yeah.
Especially with a drag.
Someone's
probably gonna mess it up, and like that's literally always my philosophy with this round is like no matter how hard you try, every time I've done the odds and evens thing, it's gotten messed up.
It gets screwed up.
It worked out was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was like, when they said Sam, I was like, holy crap. You know, like I did not believe it. And during the elimination, Mary can vouch because I was in a room with her. I was like pissing myself. Like,
this is when it was just, was this when it was just us?
Yeah. It was just me and you in a room. And I probably looked like I was gonna like die. Like I was so stressed. Like I keep getting like people telling me like I need to like take a major chill pill before if I ever do this again, because I looked like I was gonna like pee myself.
Who told you that was Sam? Who ended up saying that?
Who ended up saying that it was Sam?
Yeah, from our room, because there was 2 rooms, right? Your room and our room.
There were
that was the round. I could have been. I don't remember which room I landed in the end, but that was the round where I walked into a room and nobody was saying anything, and I just said Sam really loud right before the vote ended, and I don't know who in that room voted for Sam.
I think I was in that room. I think I was in that room.
I just remember. So it was me, Justin, Nate, and Johnny, and I think at some point people just kept coming in, even though we were like dedicated to staying in. And so it was a room limit. I decided to bounce, and then I walked in, and then I don't know who said it, but I just kept hearing Sam, 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 Sam. Like I heard like 3 different people say like Sam. Like when I told
well, in that sense, it felt like since it's such a crapshoot, as long as everyone was saying the name and it didn't land on him, no one was going to get blamed for saying his name. Everyone was saying it.
Right.
You
So
just
did anyone
have to be the last one to say the name.
Did anyone get just 2 votes?
No. Just 2? No.
Kaylee got 4.
Yeah.
Ariana got 1.
And everybody else got 1.
Got 1. And that's it. So who voted for Kaylee? Because those 4 people must have been in a group together where just breaking down that round, it was just so it wasn't Justin, of course, wasn't fucking with us, goddammit. Justin,
Nicole,
Jonathan, Crystal, and Sam were the 4 people that voted for Kaylee. So I guess they were trying to fend the odds and evens thing, which
Yeah.
That's how that all played out.
Oh, Justin voted for Kaylee?
Yeah, Justin wasn't even with us.
Wow, that's so shady.
I
you know, that's honestly why, and everybody's like crapping on me for dragging Justin, but the thing is, like, I didn't trust him. He lied to me so much. I didn't feel like he, you know, and not, I'll get into it later, but like I didn't feel like he deserved it because of just like the way that he like played, but whatever, just because of like stuff like this, like it's not like it's shady, you know what I mean?
So that led us to the Sam exit. And it brought us to round 9, which brought us to a twist that we don't typically see, fairly new. We started out with the red and green button as per usual. And as per usual, large amount of people picked red. We're still yet to see everyone picking green. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I really don't think it will.
Did anyone in here actually say green?
No,
of course I did because I was good.
I did.
You said green.
I said green because I thought it was going to be somebody coming back into the game, and I thought it was going to make us take an extra 45 minutes, and I was already fading.
I said red because I didn't want to be. I was like, oh, I don't want to be a target. I want to do red. I want to like twist this game up. We need to like, you know, I've heard my name too much. We gotta turn this thing around, you know.
I felt like I had the number.
Someone's
I
always
was hearing people out of saying my name. Oh my god! I wasn't going anywhere. The stupid twist. I didn't
And
want
then-
to twist. No
So
twist.
the twist ended up being the fact that it was just the non-majority went up for elimination, right?
No, didn't go up.
No,
Didn't go up.
Only the
majority
majority went
didn't
up.
go up. Majority
I
went
think the twist was huge because
huge.
they
Yeah,
didn't go
it
up
was
for
horrible.
elimination,
And we couldn't
then,
get dragged.
and you couldn't get dragged.
And the jury,
So
right?
That was huge. That was
we
so
had
huge.
everything. It
Yeah.
like it was kind of an automatic jury win at that point.
Yeah.
So
I was very grateful for my LOS at this point.
Yeah, I took the
Yeah, I
risk.
was
and it
grateful for
didn't
my
pay off.
LOS too because I honestly wasn't that afraid of getting dragged by Crystal. So by just voting for her and then
Agreed.
whoever she dragged, obviously, like if she dragged me, I would have just played my LOS. I feel like there were also so many rounds where Audrey tries to encourage people to throw their votes or try to like focus on self-preservation. And I feel like
I did that.
I feel like a ton of people did that like too much this game. Not too much, but like I felt like there was a ton of self-preservation opposed to people actually pushing for the names of the people that like they wanted to see go. Like
Right.
when Duke went home, I threw my vote on Jonathan, but then on the revote, I voted for Duke because that was the person I actually wanted to see go, and people were like so afraid of throwing their votes. I feel like we saw more thrown votes this game than any other game, and it was
Oh
just
yeah. Oh yeah.
it's because a lot of us were so focused on getting to the end, which was actually
Yeah.
so cool about this cast is we all played really like strategically to get as far as we could.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
But there were so few people that voted for Kaylee, which shocked me.
Me too.
And I was
I wasn't gonna vote for her because she was in my. I was still trying to keep room 2 safe. I feel like I was totally off on this. Like, I voted for Dan because I thought Dan was going home. I wasn't trying to
Wait,
not be in the majority.
Here's my thing.
Is that what you're saying?
Here's
Say
my
that
thing.
again?
Was when you said you were trying to protect room 2, your OG room or like a different?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
My OG room. Yeah.
Here was my thing. I was trying to work at pushing for the majority for a couple of reasons. Even though, yeah, I know the self-preservation thing, but screw that. No. Seriously though, there was a couple of reasons. One, I knew that I was like this major target, and everyone thought that I was a liar and manipulator, and I was. But I wanted people to think that there was a degree of loyalty and like honesty to the way I was playing. So when I told people, "Hey, I'm gonna come for you if you don't vote in the majority," the reason
I
I
was
said
in the
that-
room for that.
yeah, that was a strategy designed to basically be like, I'm going to vote in the majority. You know what I'm going to do. And if you don't vote in the majority, I'm giving you a clear reason why I'm going to take you out next round. And it's not, don't drag me or anything for that. I made it very clear why I was going to do that. I've been very honest. I intended to be a lot more lying and backstabby towards the jury portion of the game, but this middle portion of the game, I wanted to do things that convinced people that I was actually a very straight shooter. I told it as it is. Because if I did that, then people would be like, oh, this guy, he's the street shooter. He's loud and boisterous, but I can see where he's coming from always. I like this guy. And then boom, 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 boom. Like I could get them where I wanted to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I figured this was I didn't know that this was going to be a drag round. If I knew this was going to be a drag round, I would have self-preserved myself. Because the way the drag worked, I was up for a limit. I was like,
right. The fact that like it wasn't
I
everybody and it was just the people who were up, like that changed
I don't
it for
think
me. That's why-
anybody realized that, the audience included. Nobody realized that it was going to be such like slim pickings in terms of not only who could leave, but also who could be
get
dragged.
dragged.
You were talking basically like almost 50% of the people who were up were about to be eliminated. So I think anybody knowing that, and also in the future, has to try to vote not in the majority, or else you're basically screwed.
That was just why I voted for myself. I was like,
Again, I have to do the self-preservation thing.
This probably would have been a smart place to highlight more in my final jury speech, because I was up in the majority with all people I trusted. And I that's why I didn't even use my LOS. It almost got me because one person threw a vote my way and Jonathan used his LOS, but it still was true. I didn't believe I was going to be dragged, and I didn't believe I was going to be voted for, but that was a scary one. But I felt like it was a good risk to vote in the majority because it meant I got a vote. I got to put the person out I wanted, and it meant that I was really leaning on my alliances and telling them and showing them that I was trusting them. So
right,
yeah.
That's
The thing
what I
with
wanted to do.
this
Build that
round
long-
was like, did we know it was a drag for the next round?
I did.
Oh, you
Because
did.
as soon as Crystal
totally
said
did.
go,
I knew it was
as
a
a
drag
go, you
once
don't
I did
go.
it the
It's a
last
drag
week.
round.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
So
thing
I
is,
knew it. She said it
So
at least once.
I feel like
But
this was
I
just
don't-
great But I would say like next time, like anyone can be dragged, because like giving people safety for 2 rounds right before a jury is like a huge like benefit. It's like, oh, so we can let these people vote someone out and we get one of them out too, and we're safe for 2 votes. Like that was a lot of power. I do think it's a great twist.
We made the moderator confirm everything because we couldn't believe it.
We got taken out.
Right,
Like,
right.
Yeah, so if the majority keeps getting smaller and smaller to avoid getting out, then that's going to be
exactly.
really bad.
So it'll turn it.
That's why I said it's a 2-person majority eventually.
Yeah,
So
luckily we had at least 6 people.
Or there's going to be a
this is
tie.
when Mary and I got into it. This is when I turned on Mary. Was because like we were in a room together, and I was very much of the ilk Joe and Nicole were saying was like, let's vote out Kaylee and show each other that we're not scared to play this game. Like let's play it, let's vote. I'm gonna vote Kaylee. I don't care what anyone else does. Let's do it. And Mary was like, so we're voting Kaylee. And so Mary like left the room securing that like we were voting Kaylee. So I was like, cool, we got Mary on our side. Then I switched rooms. And I don't know if this is an issue that needs to be worked out, but I was in a room that wasn't at room limit. But like Mary was saying to everyone in the group, like, so the vote's going to be Mary. And I confirmed this with you later that I got it wrong. Sorry, that it was Kaylee.
Oh, okay.
And then like I was in the backstage listening in, and I was like, oh, good, Mary's making sure that that's the vote still. So like as I was following, my throw line was Mary's going to vote with us, which is great. Then when the votes came, I was like, what the hell? Like Mary, like I was in 2 rooms where Mary was the one person who was the last person talking. And I think this is why I kind of flagged you the most, even though Justin also lied. I should have gone after Justin at this point.
Justin lied.
Justin lied hard. And
I'm so
I wanted,
mad.
but the thing is with Mary, at least, like she was the last one I heard both times. So that's why I was kind of like, ooh, like I got to get Mary out. When we were not safe, and it was I knew my name was going around, and everyone was like saying Jonathan's going. I don't know who led that charge to vote me out after Kaylee left. But like
I was really I was really pushing your name.
After
'Cause
me,
you were a threat. You were really playing hard. You were a threat. I was pitching your name.
Yeah,
I don't
then I
remember
would have.
if I was, but I know I don't remember if I was effectively pitching your name, but I know I
Right.
was saying your name.
And
Does
that
that
was
make
the thing,
sense?
because I wasn't pushing anyone. That's the thing. My stance on this one was like, I was not saying vote out Joe, Nicole, Crystal, blah, blah, blah. Because I didn't want to throw out a name because I liked all of you because we voted together. So I pitched to people, I said, look, you keep me in the game. I promise you I'm going after Mary. Like, I have a clear target. I'm giving you this. Keep me in the game. Then Dina told me that she's voting for me. And that's when I knew I have to play my LOS. Because Dina did not. She told me straight up, and maybe this is why I was saved, but like I was like, I have to play my LOS at this round, and no one seemed to like be giving me anything, and it was listening
And
to
that's
my
why
reason.
I voted for Crystal, right?
Crystal,
And that's how
yeah.
we ended up with a tie.
Yeah,
Thank God.
yeah. And I will say, when I played my LOS successfully, and Crystal and Nicole were the last two, I felt very secure that if Crystal was voted out, I would not be dragged because like she was like my rock from day one. And I felt secure enough for Nicole. However, looking back on the game now, I don't feel as safe because I feel Nicole was with everybody.
Yeah.
Who would you have dragged, Nicole? Would you have dragged Crystal?
I think I would have dragged Crystal. I did know enough.
Yeah,
I knew enough to know that you dragged the boring people, and I knew that I was at risk if that was people's strategy. I knew that. I was being quiet, but I trusted that people liked me enough to keep me around. I didn't know.
Jonathan, I found your logic around Mary and I are in a fight and we're going to keep fighting. That was besides the fact that you had an LOS, and I felt very strongly that you did because I kept seeing them happen and I didn't get any, and I just was very frustrated.
I never had any.
And my internet, I was always like if you guys saw me, like my mic was always on last. I was always hearing things last, so I just need to get a stronger connection. But as soon as you said that, I was like, we need to shuffle things up because I know that I'm starting to become a bigger threat, and if he's not going after Mary, he's going to come after me.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, I was like I was clear cut on people like based on like what they did that previous round, and Mary will attest to this. Like, I pushed that underneath the rug. Like, I can move forward in the game, and I am adaptable, and I'm honest with people. I am like loyal to a fault because that's what screwed me over the last time I played. You know,
us
that, like,
getting tethered really like we were forced to fix.
Oh,
the
I was in
issue.
a deep myself, and I was like, the Lord is like laughing at me right now. Like
I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like, is this a joke?
I know, like if you look at the thing, and I was like, no way do I get tethered with Mary. But I don't know if we're moving on now. Are we still? Well, let's talk about.
So yeah,
I would have gone for you too, honestly, if I stayed in the game because of what you did, but lie about your votes. You did.
Oh, always. I always lied about my vote.
Right, but in that case, you were proven. So it was an easy argument. Oh, she's proven that she lied about her vote. She told us she was going this way, but she didn't. It was an easy argument. I could make that work easily. And then I had Jonathan, who was a big voice, also helping me with that. That probably would have been my next move. And I liked you. I liked working with you. So for you to do that was really like yikes for me. But that's where I was going.
The reason I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, I was like, I need to preserve myself, and
I wish I did it too.
But I voted for myself 2 times in a row within that cluster of like who we need the majority on this, and we need to have that. So like I think to me that was like one of my strongest game moves. So again, you don't have to agree, but like that was I was self-preserving myself.
I wish I played harder with you, Mary. Honestly,
I'm not saying it was a
yeah,
bad move.
I was so loyal to you. I was like, what?
I know.
Not that it was a bad move.
I trusted white men over my ladies, and I will live to regret that forever and ever. I turned to my boyfriend and I was like, see? And he was like, they can sense that you love women more than white men. I was like, no, damn it.
Well, unfortunately, that was the round where via a brutal drag, we lost Joe the show.
That was rough.
Ever. I was devastated.
It really did like. It's going to tarnish our whole
It came out of
episode.
nowhere. I
was ended.
shocked. When I tell you, I was shocked. I never saw her doing that.
I really did think it was like
she was
a
gonna
thing
drag,
that you
but I
don't
didn't
drag the exciting person. I really was like, I couldn't believe that she did that.
Wait, but Joe, were you going to turn on? Can we just listen more to how you're going to turn on all of us? So I can feel less bad about you getting dragged?
Yeah, Joe, when were you going to vote me out? Were you being loyal to me for real?
Yeah,
I was loyal to you for real.
Mary, I was loyal to up until she betrayed me. Ariana, I was getting closer. Yeah, all 4 of you guys actually.
I would have Joe was supposed to have a final 3.
Dina, I did really want to go far with you. You were a lot of fun. I love Dina.
I'm still a lot of fun.
You were very smart. In the middle of the 9, I would have tried to take you out though because you were smart and crafty.
Only Dan was voting for me, and then Ariana.
You're underrated.
No, I have a quick. Oh yeah, because Dan was like, I thought he had rallied a bunch of votes, and he told me he'd rallied all these votes, and that's the only reason I did that. Because he was gunning for you for like a long time.
He voted for me for like 4 rounds in a row.
No one told me. I would have gone for the bitch.
Didn't know that. I didn't know he was going for me.
I would have gone after him. I would have screamed at him
No,
like, "Oh my God!"
I have a question.
You're trying to play this big game, but you're actually a small game player. Like you go and you have the small voice, but you actually are trying to play big, but you can't play bigger than the show. Like I would have gone hard. And
this podcast is going to be worse because you got voted out.
Oh yeah.
I will say though, I've been big on myself. I did a terrible job right after the tie happened between Nicole and whatever that girl's name was, the dragon. That's it. Yeah, I forgot her name. I honestly forgot her name.
I just called her Christy, but I'm not Crystal. You know her name's
But no one else will remember her name or anything other than that. But honestly, like Crystal, I should have done more to be social with her. I should have done more to be like, I should have done more to actually like campaign. When Crystal was in the room, campaign to save Crystal. When Nicole was in the room, campaign to save Nicole. I didn't do that. I was honestly zoned out because I was on the block so much. I really thought I was going home and I forgot it was a drag. And then I'm like, oh, good. When Crystal went out, I'm like, oh, good. I'm in the jury. Let's go. Who am I going to take out next? And then they're like, it's a drag. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm done.
I have a question, Joe. If you, and it wouldn't have happened, but hypothetical, if you would have been the one voted out that round, who would you have dragged?
Yeah, good question. Crystal. She was boring.
Yeah,
and I
good answer. Okay.
Like Jonathan was a good. I was gonna go with a big speech because I was gonna have a nice big speech and basically call out everyone who was good and bad. And no way would have. Yeah, it was gonna be Crystal because she was boring. So I think she was good to drag me because I would have done the same to her if that's how it works. But it's not a tit for tat thing. Like,
It shouldn't be.
next time you play.
I went home in the exact same spot as you, Joe, in the Heroes versus Villains mini, and I've been dragged at 10th all 3 minis that I've played, so I definitely can relate. Well, thank you, Joe, for coming on the show. We'll definitely have to see you play again and have you
Joe
back
didn't
on.
come on the show. Joe was the show.
That's
See ya.
absolutely right. Be sure to follow Joe on Twitter if you want to stay in touch, and Joe the Show, we'll see you later.
Take care.
All right, so with that...
Can someone start screaming? I feel like there's not enough screaming anymore. Ah!
I can bring my foot over here.
So with Joe's dragging, that brought us into the official jury phase of the game. And
we made jury.
That's right, we made it. We did it. And with that, the first twist of jury, I believe it was the vote someone that you haven't voted before twist. The history can't repeat itself twist.
Oh my God.
And this is where, unfortunately, the birthday boy Nate was eliminated.
Oh, this was
very
so
funny. Just a minute or so after it was no longer his birthday. It was pretty perfect timing.
No idea.
Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. How did that come to be?
This is the only round
This is the
Dan didn't vote
only
for me.
round where I felt like so safe because I was like, okay, they all voted me out in the
Same.
beginning. So I was like, I'm good because they're not going to be able to say my name. This is the only round where I was like, I really feel safe.
Same.
Oh,
Exactly
I was
same.
laughing. I was like,
there's
oh,
no way
let's
I'm going out here, you know? Like me,
think
Jonathan, Mary, we're chill.
I
you
was
know?
surprised Justin didn't go. I really thought Justin was going to go this round.
I
when it
did
started.
too. Justin and Nate were the 2 names that came up the most. The problem is a lot of people had like final 2s and final 3s with Justin. And so nobody would, it wasn't getting any traction. And so basically every single room I would go into, it was like, Nate, have you voted for Nate? Have you voted for Nate? And I was like, I haven't, and I really like him, but.
I started in the room with Justin and I think Nicole in this one. And he put out Nate because he said he can't vote for Nate, and then voting for Ariana, Ariana. And then I said, well, let's do Nate then. And then Mary was in the background. We were talking about this, and then I said, yeah, let's do Nate now, and we'll do Mary next time. And Mary came in so cavalier. It was just like, oh, real cute, Jonathan, or whatever you said.
And then Nate joined, and I was like, Nate, Jonathan's ganging up on both of us.
And you were saying that I was pushing Nate, and I was not pushing Nate. That was Justin was pushing it.
It doesn't matter who's pushing it. I was going to say whatever. I know,
and that's the thing. And that's what ticked me up because I was willing to vote out Justin at this point because I actually like Nate. However, when we were both giving our arguments to Nate about what was said and who was right, he did not listen to me. He was like, oh, I'm trusting Mary. And I was clocked immediately. I was like, oh, fuck. Nate is with Mary for sure. So
we never had
Nate
a solidified alliance or final whatever.
No, I know.
I always saw him in my eyes as my final 2. I just had a really good connection with him, but we never solidified it. But I openly said to all of you, I was like, I'm not voting for him. Just telling you right now. That I was very straight up about. I was like, it's not happening on my end.
With you saying that and then him not giving me the time of day to defend myself against you, I was like, oh, we're breaking up Mary and Nate. Done. There's no.
I think that's why it happened. It was that right there.
Yeah, because I was willing to keep Nate, and I saw Justin for what he was. He was going to the end, he was sliding through. And then I was just kind of you know what, it sucks. And at this point in the game, I was kind of on the anti-Mary train. So I was like, any way to bring her down at this point.
I was in the room when the 2 of you duked it out. It was so entertaining. I had no business being there, and I probably should have been more social, but I was like, I can't not watch this.
But that's the thing, though. For me,
I was watching it, and I was like, I can't benefit from
and that's that's part of the game is you know what? Let's hash it out. You know what I mean? Because we only get one chance at this. And look, whatever, I'll be clear with you, and at least I can say to you going forward, look, I'm honest. I told you how I felt about you. Same thing I did with Ariana. We talked and discussed it. And that's what you said too. Because in the middle of our thing with Mary, Ariana interjected and said, Jonathan, we're good though, right? We discussed it.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, for sure. And so moving forward, I felt I kind of opened that door. I don't know how much you believe me, but on the Dan vote, I think I proved that
Right. The only reason I did, so here's the thing, I didn't 100% believe you, and the reason was because I saw what you were doing with Mary, and it was like, oh, he's like squashing things, and he's gonna make like a final 2 with her, or he's gonna make a final 2 with somebody else, and like try to get, I don't know, I was like, oh
yeah,
about it.
no, I didn't have any final 2s because I wanted to be as like fluid as possible. I think I told people I wanted to go far in the game with them. But the thing is, like, as the game progresses, like, different people come out to me as like game players and how they're navigating the game. I will say, Nicole was the one that I trusted the most, that I can go to with information, which is a testament to her game. She was the one I felt the most would not backstab me or would not like take my information and go with someone else. However, I was willing to do whatever in the game, work with Dina, Mary, like any of you guys, because I respected your game and I wanted like us to like go forward. Justin, I saw what he was doing, and the thing with Justin is like he never made me feel like I could trust him because he never stuck to his word. And that's why I was kind of like, I wish he would have gone earlier, and I wish he would have gone on that boat.
I
whatever,
do too.
Get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
I was words with you, Johnny.
I feel like I was really dumb towards Justin for a majority of the game because I didn't get to play with him very much. I didn't see him very much. And I knew that you were a way bigger threat than Justin was, especially in terms of like LOSs and things like that. And I just couldn't see him winning. Like, and that's the fact. Like, under no circumstances was he not going to get dragged to the final 4 because that's just not.
I think he made it to the final 2.
If I probably would not have dragged Justin.
Yeah, I wouldn't have dragged him either.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I probably would have dragged him just because I didn't think I didn't see his game that much, but I didn't think he was playing a good game. And even my mistakes with him, they were my mistakes. Like, he never made good moves. We just made mistakes. And like, that's just not the kind of player that I want to see in my final 2 for the first game that I'm going to play.
That's true. No, that's a fair point. You could, that's why you could think two strong people to actually duke it out. But I just know, like, if I was in that position, I would try to like push to get a threat out and bring somebody who I know is definitely weaker than me, and I have like a stronger case to build against.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely. And I know you're like, people are saying like you shouldn't have done it, but I respect what you did because you did put 2 people that like had a case against each other, and you didn't have somebody sitting there who really didn't do much. So
yeah, and it was also just because he openly lied to me like multiple times. Like, I understand people are like, oh, I should have dragged Johnny for like backstabbing me, but like I was an idiot. I was stupid. My brain was fried. It was 2 a.m. If I would have told Johnny I was dragging him, we would have gone to a wheel. We never know what would have happened. Huh?
I would have changed my vote.
Yeah, I know.
I would have.
So yeah, so I was just so stupid like at that final moment. But then I was like, I don't want to be, some bitter person who drags him, because I would have done the same thing. If Johnny would have said what I said, I would have made the same move. Can't blame him for doing that. But Justin openly lied to me like multiple times. So I'm like, I just, it was, and I didn't feel like he did anything.
I think that it is something that comes in when you get down, and we'll get to it, but when you get that far into game, there is such a fatigue of doing this nonstop for 5-6 hours that it is. You kind of do just want to be like, all right,
I was that's something. And if you're watching now and you play a mini in the future, like, take note of it. I was so silly in the beginning, not because like obviously like that's just who I am. I've talked about that part, but like when you get to that part at the end of the game, like I think the part I brought it up, like I fired up so much at the end because I was really like kind of chilling for a big part of the game, which unfortunately, like, it was unfortunate that I wasn't as big of a part of the strategic component. I was much more of a part of the social component, I think. But like, if like, think of this game as a marathon, not a sprint. Like, if you're going to be in this game and you want to win, you're going to be talking nonstop for 5 hours. Paranoid as fuck. I remember the second time I played, I was in a tie 3 rounds in a row, and I was shaking like a leaf. I couldn't even have conversations anymore. So, like, if you go...
I was shaking so hard during certain points. I literally probably looked like I was like, oh my God. Like,
your mental thing is almost more important than anything else, especially when you get to the story phase. Because I think fatigue is why, like, people started making mistakes towards the end of the game.
Exactly. That's why I said, just like, honestly, by the end of the jury, like when I was like asking you and Nicole questions, I don't even remember what I said, to be honest. Like I was
don't remember what I
out of it. I probably was just like mumbling garbage, and I don't even remember what came out of my mouth because like I was about to pass out, you know? It was so
yeah. So that brought us to, as the clock struck midnight and the birthday was over, Nate was taken out, and it moved us to the tether round. So the tethers were Mary. It was some good pairs here. So Mary was paired
I love
with
this
Jonathan,
round.
which was interesting. What we have? We had Justin and Dan, Johnny and Nicole, and Ariana and Dina.
I was worried about this round actually.
You were worried?
Well, I wasn't worried I was going to go out, but I was like shocked that it was so easy. I just didn't. How was no one saying any other name?
No, Dan started saying my name, and I yelled at him, and I haven't yelled at someone in like decades, like since I was like a mean girl in high school.
Here's
the thing, I really liked Dan.
I wanted 3 times before we settled on the name.
I know, but I knew we were going to figure it out. You know, I knew we were fine. I knew I didn't need to.
Everyone knew what they were doing.
Yeah, but I trusted Ariana completely through this. Like there was not a shadow of doubt in my mind.
Yeah, no, literally same. And here's the problem. Like I liked Dan. I kind of wanted to work with him. I wanted to go further with him, but I knew you weren't going to budge. And I was like, I can't like betray that. Like we got to make our vote count or else it's going to be a tie. We're going to go on a wheel. And then it's just like, whatever, you know? So I was just like, I'm just going to stick with it. We got 2 other people who were like solid and we're like, okay, it's done. You know, like what else can we do?
What do you
so we set it up and
never mind.
Huh?
I was just gonna say, what do you guys think caused Dan to like be like absolutely totally like unanimous at the final 8? Like did he just have like did none of us trust him? Like is that what it was?
And he voted for me, so what did he think was gonna happen? He gave up.
No, so Nicole, the reason he voted for you is because he was like literally gunning for you for like rounds. Like anytime like I would talk to him, he'd be like,
my God.
Nicole. And I was like, whoa. I was like, okay. But
and we should have listened to him.
Yeah.
Well, nobody
but then he probably would have gone to the end.
Dan voted for Nicole 3 rounds in a row.
Well, I just felt like Dan was getting by too often.
Then he took a break where he can't repeat and then voted for Nicole again.
I thought Dan was really good at like throwing a name out always, like every single round. Like he never was one to just like sit there and listen. So I think that put a target on his back. But I also think it's a strength though, because he wasn't like playing a scare game. So you can view it either way. But that's what I think why at that point we were all like, we have to get him out. Like he's consistently throwing somebody out like every single round. And if we let him keep going, it could be one of us.
Right.
I don't think he had social game.
Like Dina, like she had basically said like he's throwing my name out. I'm voting him no matter what. And then like, okay, we got to make our vote count, you know. And then I forgot who the other 2 people who came in the room were, but they were both like, oh, like I like everybody else. The only person here I would do is Dan. And then we were like, okay, solid, like 4, we're good, you know.
And then at that point, my back was against the wall.
Yeah, it was Jonathan.
So like, but the thing is, like, I was willing, and this was actually a good opportunity. The fact that Mary and I were tethered is because I was like, look, squash it, move forward.
And from this point forward, I kind of wanted to work with you, Jonathan. And so I was like, I kind of wanted to keep him in. He's a big target, and I want to keep him in more than Dan, because even though I like Dan, Dan's not nearly as big of like a meat shield for me as Jonathan is, you know?
Right. And Dan was honestly like, we have not discussed Dan a lot this entire podcast because like he was slinking through, like he wasn't playing a visible game. Yeah. Even more so than Justin, I think. Like Justin was obviously like snaking around.
Yeah.
Dan was doing it, but like under the radar.
Yeah, I wouldn't call Dan like a floater. Like I don't think he was just like floating through the game. I think he was like actually working hard, but he played in a way similar to the Night of the Living Dead with I forgot his name, the final 2 with the Jacob, thank you. I think he played a very similar game to Jacob, and I think if he would have made it to the final end, he could have made a really good plea and could have won the whole thing.
Yeah, he did. He played really well, and that's the thing too. Like, at this point, like what do I gain by not voting with Mary? You know, like at this point.
Exactly. We had we were like, you know what? It's not worth our votes getting voted. Like our votes getting voided, not worth it. It's
exactly. It's not worth it at all. Like risking my name getting out there.
And it's just like I don't want myself to go home over this. If like I have a chance to.
And then also, like, me and Mary talked about, like, me, Mary, and I think Dina, we were all in a room together, and we were like, who can we get? We're like, we need 4 solid votes. So if Mary can get Jonathan to agree with her, why wouldn't we do that? You know, not everybody's going to agree on Jonathan. He's a huge meat shield. We need him in this game, you know, but like, why would we not vote Dan out at this point? You know, so like
originally when I did hear I was tethered to Jonathan, I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm voting him out. But then, like, after thinking about it, I was like, no, that's not smart. Don't do that.
Because
Don't
it's
throw
smarter
out.
to utilize it, right? So that we could have like a solid, you know.
Yeah, like an
And
easy
Justin-
target, like a visible target.
Exactly.
And Justin was so willing to throw Dan, and he had Dan's vote.
I
know.
And it was so easy to just go with that, right? It was like, I really regret not understanding more about Jonathan's game to be able to like navigate with him more, because you don't get to see everything, you know what I mean? And like Dan was playing a really good round and he kept skating by and I didn't know how. Like the Melissa vote I thought was the Dan vote.
Yeah, I don't know why at this point we didn't do Justin. I think Mary and Jonathan, you guys probably maybe
I
would have done
definitely
Justin.
I would have voted
Dan
Justin
at
for
that
sure.
Oh, if that was the name going around, I totally would have done that too. I
So
didn't.
me and Johnny, me and Johnny were pushing Dan over Justin.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying.
okay.
I know that. I'm just saying, like, if me, Dina, Mary, and Jonathan all agreed on Justin, we could have done that, and
you could
that definitely 100% would have worked. And
It
I'm just
would
thinking
have.
back, you know,
If we got on the same page, yeah.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda with everything.
Yeah, exactly. And the room limit was 3 on this one, I think, right?
Yeah. So it was
Which
really hard.
sucks, yeah.
So, but Audrey did that on purpose, obviously, because then like 2 like tethered teams can't be in the same room together at the exact same time.
Really
you
smart.
know? So.
Well, the tether round saw Dan being eliminated, which brought us to round 13, the walls have ears twist. So this twist, snippets of conversations between the players would be leaked by Audrey and played throughout all the rooms so that way people could hear what exactly was being said. And this saw some really interesting gameplay from all of you that we hadn't really seen in this kind of twist before, where a lot of you were miming and like doing stuff that was conflicting with what you were actually saying, and there was like lots of lies and fake conversations being had. It was a very, very interesting round, and unfortunately at the end of this round, that's where Jonathan, you were eliminated after an LOS was played and there was a tie between you and Justin. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
I just want to say, I don't know if it was because I was drunk at this point. I didn't know it was walls have ears. So I was talking as if
I did.
And
I totally
I'm
knew.
like, why am I hearing myself over the speaker? Like, is something wrong? And someone was like, it's walls have ears. I was like, oh shit, I missed that completely. So I was just going as if it was like a roll around talking.
Yeah, and I was saying Jonathan's name on purpose. I was like, and so we're gonna vote for Jonathan, and you were going saying it too, and then I heard it over the loudspeaker, and I was like, perfect.
I was with Jonathan, and I don't know if Jonathan has experience with this twist, but I was like, dude.
I
know, and that's why
I don't know why I'm whispering now. I was like, start lying out loud.
Looking back on it,
I was 100% fooled.
Yeah, and I was like, Jonathan, do you have an LOS?
I don't think we're allowed to write on paper. We're not allowed to do that. That's why.
We're not allowed to write on paper?
No, you're not.
Oh, good thing I didn't do that.
And then,
yeah.
so what Jonathan and I tried to do was just target Ariana because
let's do Mary. Yeah, let's do Mary.
We couldn't. I was trying to figure out the easiest.
It's a hard letter to do. A is hard. We should have just done this and said
put a target on somebody.
We should have been like, yeah, let's do Ariana. Let's for sure do Ariana.
Which is crazy because Ariana, can you like not role play? Like explain that round. Yo, that's a whole other podcast.
Okay, so basically,
like how did that round play out for you? Because truthfully, I thought it was going to be 4 votes for Jonathan from all of the girls, and then I thought me, Jonathan, and Justin were voting for you, and that Jonathan was going to play an LOS on himself. So when I heard that the LOS got played correctly, and then the vote tied on Jonathan, I was shocked at that point.
I lied about the LOS. That's why.
Yeah. Which I wish you didn't, because I don't know, but it doesn't matter.
Well, because you opened the door, and so I was like, if the girls are doing what we're doing, then if I say I don't have an LOS, then what do I have to lose at that point? You know, like,
So here's the reason why I used my LOS where I knew all the votes were going to go on me. I knew that, Jonathan, I knew you were targeting me. Like, it was pretty obvious that you were going to come for me in that round. Like,
I didn't want to go for you, though. I
know you didn't want to, but I knew you were going to. I knew that if the boys were going to put their votes on me. I knew that's what was going to happen. At that point, none of the other girls, they were all like flying under the radar. They weren't going to have any targets on their back. The boys were like consistently in rooms together. And I realized that because every time I would go into a room, it would be like either all girls or all boys. So I'm like, who are the boys going to target? Not themselves. They're not going to target one of the other girls that are like just flying under the radar here. They're going to go for me because they think that I'm a target or whatever. They think they can all rally it up and whatever. And then I think what I did wrong was I got in a room with the girls and they were like, Jonathan has an LOS. Why would we vote for Jonathan when he has an LOS? They all like believed you that you had an LOS. And I was like, I don't think he has an LOS. I think we need to do it. And they were like, why would you not think that he has an LOS? And so I think they kind of like saw through my BS and they were like, oh, she has the LOS. We need to put this vote on her. And I think that's why all the girls ended up voting for me because I was like so dead set that you didn't have one. So it kind of like made it obvious that I did. Is that what happened, Nicole? Yeah, exactly.
I think so.
Yeah. So
at one point, I don't know if I was saying it for Jonathan.
No, I had no idea. I was this round. I was like totally blind. Everyone told me it was Jonathan, and when you said he definitely doesn't have it, I didn't. Again, my brain was like, meh. I didn't get that. Like Ariana's telling me she has it or she's on the block. I just got that like, well, she thinks he might not have it. Maybe she's pushing too hard. I think he might still have it, and I'm worried about whose name he's gonna throw out. So I'm gonna throw out Justin's name. Just to have, because I still thought it was going to Jonathan, right? So like the strategy won the game, right, to get the person that we wanted out, but ultimately, or I wanted out, but I wasn't doing it for the right. It's like when you do an algebra question and you get the right solution, but you didn't do the math right. Like I didn't do the math right, but like I got that to the answer, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was like saying this for Jonathan or for Ariana because I can't remember, but I know I said like we need to flush out the LOS. We need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I think someone said that. Someone said like, who cares? Like, then we get rid of an LOS because that was played over the gossip thing.
Yeah, that was totally me. I don't remember who I was referring it to, but I was like, we just got to get out.
Sorry, I accidentally like.
It's okay, but to that point though, because Ariana said she had it. I still could have had one. Like, it's not to say that there's only one at play at this point.
I know. But I think the girls figured out that I had one. Dina, except besides Dina, and she was like, Jonathan has one, so I'm going to throw a vote on Justin. I was going to vote for you because I thought you were voting for me, and you did. And then I was like, everybody's voting for me. I just got this LOS. I have to play it or else I'm going to go out here. So I did. I was hoping Dina would vote for you and then you just go out. But then we got a tied vote. And then I got in a room alone with Johnny and he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do Jonathan because he's going to like keep coming after me at this point. And he was like, no, let's do Justin because we can get Jonathan out next round. And I was like, no, if we don't get him out now, you know, we're never going to get him out.
Honestly, when the tie came up and it was between me and Justin, I was honest with you guys when I told you and Mary that I am willing to do a 4 with you guys to go to the end because I did not want Justin or Nicole. Sorry, Nicole. At this point, I had to play for myself to go on like the big player thing, and like I was legit about that. Like I would have voted with you guys because I was like, look, Dina, Mary, and Ariana. Whether or not everyone else thinks this, I think that they have a solid 3, and they have each other's backs. And if they don't, they should. And that's why I was kind of like, look, I will.
We never made it official, but I always felt like we had each other's backs.
And I was like, I was willing to go to the end with you guys because I was like,
that one round where you used your LOS, Ariana. I never said your name any other round.
Oh yeah, no, I know. And the like, literally from the point where it was you versus Ben on, I was like 100% like on the Mary train. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have this girl's back, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly like regret getting you out, Jonathan. We should have done Justin, but like, you know, I didn't know if I could trust you, you know? Like,
no, and that's valid. The thing is like I was hoping, and I don't know if I'll play again, but whatever, but like I was hoping on that like my word, honestly, in this game was my bond. Like I was everything I said I would do, I did, and I never faltered from that. Like I was loyal to whatever was happening that round, and I
had just been lied to like so much. You know, I was like, I can't trust anybody. You know?
For sure, and that's totally valid. That's totally valid, and that's like it's tough looking back on it. But like honestly, like, I was like of the ilk of it's like I want the last runners at war like person. Like I want like someone big to go in and but it's it was
so upset.
It was tough. It was tough. And you know what? It's the game. It's the game.
It is the game, and I will say, Jonathan, having played with you twice before this game and watched your games, I think you really, really stepped it up. I thought this was like
you played a great game.
Your game was excellent, and you could have gone further. And it just, of course, the way it works out when you're in the position that you're in with the people that you're there with, and who knows if all those other factors earlier in the game, if someone else had been dragged or someone else had been voted out, if things might have shaken up a little differently.
And I do want to say thank you, TR, for doing those videos and putting it out, because those intro videos do play a big role in the game. They do, like, that sets the tone for a lot of the first half of the game. And like my last videos before, my intros were like so basic and just like sitting there, and like I was like, I'm gonna step it up, and I did, and I think it paid off. So
you did.
I want to thank you for that too.
It did.
I think my video was a little too basic.
We had a lot of players at the
so
table, but you were, Jonathan, you were just like above the water the entire time. Like you just.
Thank you. And honestly, I can say the same for like most of you guys at the end.
And honestly, Jonathan, you played such a great game. You just freaked me out. I was like, if I get to final 2 with this kid, he's gonna beat me. You know, like.
I may have. Who knows? I probably wasn't gonna make final 2 anyway, but.
You did a great
it's
job.
all good.
You
yeah,
played
you
such a
guys
great
did so
game.
well. I was like, this was whatever anyone says. Like, it was a great final jury. So
I agree.
Well, Jonathan, this is where you went to jury, and so I'm going to kick you to our backstage now.
Right.
You can stick around for a little longer if you want, or you can
I'll
go.
let you know if I can. Yeah.
No worries. But thank you so much, Jonathan. I did have Jonathan's Twitter up on the screen a second ago, so if you want to follow him, keep posted there. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jonathan. So after the Walls Have Ears round, that moved us into round 14, the Rumor Has It round. And this is, unfortunately, Mary, where you went. So let's talk about that. Let's get into it. I will say, I haven't seen in a mini so many rumors having to essentially do with the same exact thing. It was Mary, Ariana have a final 2. Nicole and Dina have a final 2. Mary and Dina have a final 2 and are the biggest threats to win. Nicole and Mary have a final 2. Justin has multiple final 2s. A lot of final 2 stuff. Let's get into it.
Our brains were really firing at every level at that point. It was just like, what's left? Final 2.
Yeah.
I was just really scared of Mary in this round. I felt like she was playing a really, really solid game. And I felt like without Jonathan there, who was going to go after her? And I was really misunderstanding my role in terms of how big of a threat I was or how people were perceiving me. And I think that we needed to like solidify, like I should have just stuck with that route, right? Like we should have stuck with the original numbers of the 2, like making it 2s and 2s and 2s, and then being between Justin. I feel like Justin also, because I didn't play with him as much, I didn't know enough about him, and that should have like alerted me. You know what I mean? Like I knew about Mary. She was a known quantity. Why would I want to get a known quantity out this early? And I think that kind of screwed me over.
I gotta say, I think this round was absolutely bonkers.
It was crazy.
Me and Ariana started off in a room by ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And then there were no room limits. The 4 of you, it was Dina, Mary, Nicole, and Justin. We're all in a room together. I jumped in 5th, and when I jumped in, y'all were settling on Ariana. I could have sworn everything I was saying at the final 6 wasn't meaning anything. I figured the 4 of you had settled on Ariana. That was it. Because I've been in that same spot before at the final 6 where like when there's no more room limits, you got to find the majority real quick. And then whoever jumps in 5th and 6th, they're out. So when people actually started flipping their votes onto Mary, I was shook. And I thought that was going to be the moment where I'd be able to play my LOS on Ariana and have it actually be like a successful LOS play. Of course, that's not actually what happened. But the fact that you guys didn't like stick and vote for Ariana when I thought she was the biggest threat at that point was crazy, but I couldn't call Ariana a big threat because then if it was the 4 of you and just me in the final 5, I would have been 5th.
Yeah, I was honestly shocked. that Mary got voted out.
Same, which is why
as soon as Johnny was pushing me, I was like, I'm done. I'm dead in the water at that point, because you were like,
you did a really good job. This is when you really kicked into high gear, Johnny. Like,
and
you really kicked into high gear.
I think the only way, and I was really tired, and thinking back on it, I realized how I might have been able to save you. I think the reason I voted, so you can see like in the chart, like I voted for Nicole, and that's because Nicole and Justin, like everybody could see, like they were like a super tight duo. They needed to be split up, and I should have just been like way more vocal about that. But like Johnny was just like screaming Mary, and then I was just trying to like not get my like votes on me, and so it was just like I was just like hoping that my like brainwaves would send out this message to everybody that we need to split them up, but it like didn't work. I know I voted you so many times, Nicole. You like it's just literally because you're such a big threat. Like I hope you like don't take it personal.
Oh, no, I don't take any of it personal. Like, I no.
Like I honestly like love you. You're so great. Like that's just like why I kept gunning, because like you're just like I knew she's like, oh gosh, she's gonna get to final two, you know.
Yeah,
I feel like Johnny did
for me,
really
it had to be between Ariana and Mary at that point, and so
yeah.
Whoever was the louder person, the more people were going towards. So I was happy to.
Because now this is the part of the game where like really I feel like I now have the most to talk about. I want to let you guys like talk about all the other stuff, but like really. I hate to admit it, and I'll say it now, but like everything I did from the final 6 on was a literal lie. Like me pushing Mary and Dina thinking they were the biggest threats. I wasn't sure who the biggest threats were, but like I just wanted to pin it on other people. I knew I wanted my final 4 to be Ariana because I thought she was the biggest threat of me, Justin, and Nicole, and I figured Ariana wouldn't drag me. So while I do really, really believe, especially reading the jury chat, which I actually did in the middle of this podcast, Mary and Dina probably would have both won if they were in the finals. I still think that like at the end of the day, this was literally just like a situation. And also the final 5 thing was bizarre. I feel like final 5, we didn't all get to play our fullest potential truly because of this weird, which is kind of unfortunate because I do feel like there was possibility that Dina could even flip it on Justin or whoever she was trying to do. Was it Justin?
No, it was Justin and Nicole were safe in final 5.
And I tried to go for Justin.
It was me, you, and Dina. It was me, you, and Dina. The reason, Dina, that you got voted out is because you were gunning for Justin, and he was like, "I'm safe, dude."
It was like fine,
Because I would have voted for Ariana, I think, but you had already put your foot in your mouth.
I think, it was perfect. But I think for me, this is where Johnny's game really amped up for me because he had done such a good job in making me feel like I was his 1 and 2 and that like I would go with him. And so when it was maybe going towards Johnny, I was like, okay, well, I want to save Johnny because Johnny will protect me in the next round. And even though the actual situation was that Mary would have more likely protected me as we kept going on because we were playing a more similar game, I went with who I had vocal conversations with versus feeling what was actually happening in the game and like our energies, right? And I think that's something that comes with playing multiple times in that you start to play with your gut more than the words that are coming out of people's mouths. And I think Johnny did a really good job of taking advantage of the fact that like the rest of us hadn't played multiple times and he upped his lying game into like a new level. And when my lying game was like slowing the fuck down. You know what I mean? So like, it's just about stamina. It's like why you go to the Olympics multiple times. And like, even though you trained really, really hard, some people just know how to be there under pressure in a different way.
Yeah, it really is. And I've seen it. I mean, we've seen it a lot in these previous ones. I saw it in my own game. Like, people don't really take into account the early rounds, right? The early rounds are forgotten so quickly, is that if you can turn it on at final 6, even final 5, and make a big show of it and show how hard you're playing and make those moves just from that small portion moving forward, it can win you the entire game because people just forget. And people, like we said before, are getting tired because it's been going on for so long that you can steal the game right there.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, I've watched, I know Sharifa did it, I know Dash did it, I know even Kim did it very well as well, that they dominated that 6-5-4, and I knew that as long as I got myself to that part of the game, I would be able to masterly play the 6-5-4 and just be the loudest one there. And unfortunately, that's a really annoying strategy when you're a player in the game against me, but it was something that I had previously seen before that had really worked for a lot of people who had won minis. And that's just why I did what I did. It's not like what I wanted to do, because ultimately if I was watching me, I would have thought it was ugly, not really letting people speak that much and like really just like hammering in the fact that Mary and Dina needed to go. But like, that's kind of how you have to play the end game. Like, you need to be able to push your points with the most confidence as possible so you could get your way. And I think Justin, I don't know who flipped their vote at the final 6. Someone definitely flipped their vote onto Mary. And
I think it was Nicole, Johnny, and Dina, right?
Yeah,
Is that what it was?
Dina's the person who I think like flipped her vote in like when I'm thinking about that situation. Is like I like was almost shocked that like it happened, but it's truly just like once you get to that point in the game, you need to put a target on other people so that way you're number 3 or number 4 once you're at the final 7. Because like if you're the third or fourth biggest threat, most of the time, with the exception of these past few minis where Cameron made it to the end and Kim made it to the end, like these big Sequester legends, those people normally make it. So like I kind of like, and this is where like I almost feel bad saying like I don't have this in-depth gameplay that all you guys had, because I just feel like I kind of knew what I was doing, which maybe again this next mini is going to scare people into getting rid of people who have played before. But I feel like if you study Sequester and you know how to maneuver the twists, you should be able to get yourself to the jury phase, and then all you have to do is set yourself up. And like if you set yourself up with the people you trust the most going to that point in the game, literally everyone I didn't trust went out right before the jury phase. And that's because that's when I started pushing names the hardest. And in the beginning of the game, I tried to be a goof, and that's ultimately what got me to the jury phase and let me set myself up.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Do you guys think that like as more people start to play Sequester, that maybe they'll start to just be like full newbie games and like full returning player games? Because if it starts to become like a true, like, because if we see in Survivor, it's super difficult when you're throwing only a few veterans in. And we want you always want new players, and you always want people like throwing their hat in. And then you also see in the challenge, like boring people are going to get voted out. And if that's just going to start being like more repetitive, I think I might just throw my name in the hat. And like, it's really good when it's like big thematic all-star seasons, but it might just be fun to have seasons of people that like played pretty well. And we want to see how they would play when they're not entitled the name of like veteran versus newbie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How I personally feel is I feel like it matters, but it doesn't. What I believe is that you probably get about 40 to 60 people trying to play each mini. A lot of them are probably people who have played minis before. A lot of them are compelling vets. And at the end of the day, I did not know who was a vet and who was a rookie coming into this.
I did not.
Yeah.
I literally, I can look at the cast because I was a vet myself. The only one I knew was Lavina. She was the only one who I saw, and Duke I knew had played minis as well. They were the only 2 names that I saw, and I was like, oh, they've played minis before. So I almost feel like it depends on the group of people, because truthfully in our cast, it didn't matter because a vet ended up getting to the end while you guys also tried to take vets out at the beginning. So it really just comes down to, do people remember that this person's a vet? Like maybe you have 19 rookies and 1 vet, but people forget the 1 vet, and then the 1 vet makes it. So I feel like it's so arbitrary when it comes to rookies versus vets. I feel like it's just how certain people try to play the game. It's not a way that I try to play the game. I look at the humans that I'm in the game with, and I'm like, all right, do I like them? Do I not?
The only difference there is that I know I learned a lot about myself and how I play this game and the game by playing. And so you've already had those lessons twice. So you played it different. And so our ability to pivot after a second time will be handy.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit last night in terms of, you know, you really do kind of step into your own on the second game, right? Like the first time you are kind of back on your heels, you don't know what to expect. You're really just trying to get through it. When you're going in a second time and you know what to expect, you can really play that character that you want to be and play the game hard, which does, you know, open up your gameplay, I would say.
And even just knowing how my brain works in this environment at 1 a.m. is good. I didn't know.
Same. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people are saying that like our cast in particular was very like newbies versus vets, but I don't really think that we were. It's just like me specifically, I was gunning for people that I didn't trust. I wasn't gunning for vets. I was just gunning for people who I hadn't been in rooms with, who I hadn't talked to, and those happened to be vets. But like, I don't think a lot of us really realized that until we
did
watched
not.
back the show, and then people were like, crap, they got all the vets out, you know? Like, I don't think we really realized we were doing that. It's just like, we just happened to trust each other more.
Yeah,
Like,
I had never
the
even
only
been
round that I was like, we have to get vets out so like us rookies have a chance for jury was
Lavina.
Lavina.
Yeah.
That was the only
I didn't
round
even
where
know. I hadn't.
That was
seen
the only
Lavina in the
round that I
room.
saw that happening too. That first round and then the Lavina round. Those were the only 2 rounds where I really saw like an actual like newbies versus like vets like vibe.
I straight up
thing.
said it. I'll be honest. I was like, yeah, like I want newbies to go to jury, not go out of the game. I was like, we need to get a vet out now, or the vets are gonna like make it to jury and carry the whole thing. Like, let's get to jury.
And I think that there's a difference between saying like you're a vet and saying like you're a vet, I got to the top 2. And one of Johnny's really good lies was when he said we got into jury, and he was like, oh my God, guys, I finally got into jury for the first time.
Yeah.
He was ramping up his malicious game.
Yeah.
As our guard was down, ladies.
I win.
Yeah.
It's true.
It doesn't have to be a big part of this, but I win most cutthroat in almost every game that I play. And it's just because like I'm so like I almost don't know what my own brain is thinking. And like truthfully, like I'm my own worst enemy. And I feel like that just like came into play so much here. So I don't know.
Same.
I had a point going there, but then I honestly totally lost my train of thought. So I'm still
get it back.
up for 2.5 hours. I'm like,
But I think what we can learn from like the next time too, especially like one of the things that I was looking at, I was so excited that we had such a female heavy game.
Yeah. I love that though.
It was so incredible, and I loved playing with all the women. But then it also was like, well, I don't want it to be like we're taking out all the boys. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't want to be in a game with all guys and have them just be like, let's take out all the girls.
The reason,
the
reason I got 5th last time was because it literally from the final 7 on, they were picking off the boys.
Wow.
And there was nothing else to it, with the exception of the fact that like I was, which I love women empowerment. Like literally, like when it was final 4 women in my first or my second game, I was like, fuck yes. But like when it was like literally final 5 and I was there with 4 girls, they were not budging. So like we got to the final 7. I did not trust, did not want to work with, and didn't have a great bond with Jonathan the whole game. But I felt so compelled to try to keep him around because I thought you 4 ladies were going to do the same thing that happened to me in my second game.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We really like weren't so like girls versus boys. And I think we probably could have. And if we would have, we could have picked you guys like right off.
Twitter
the thing is, I think
the first
we
couple rounds
trusted
I
you.
voted for girls on purpose.
Same.
But that would have been so boring. Like I thought about it and I kept seeing the numbers. And then I was like, I hate watching that. I hate watching round after round someone take like what I would consider to be a somewhat arbitrary identity and say like because I wouldn't want that to happen to me. But at the end of the day, what it closed my eyes to was the fact that the women were the ones that were just playing better and playing better with me. And that's just, again, like the second time having more of a gut instinct about who has your back versus who's just saying that they have your back.
So
and Johnny was really good at figuring that out. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No worries.
We just have to finish this before the Survivor Sequester starts.
Oh my God, I'm so
that
excited.
led to the Mary exit, which brought us down to the final 5. And we did have there Dina, Ariana, and Johnny up for elimination. So talk to us a little bit about your strategies going into final 5.
I exploded, and then everyone just picked up my remains and fed them back to me.
I mean, this is a situation where, because of kind of everyone had a different answer except for Random and me and Justin had the same answer. Me and Justin, who having been swapping information throughout the whole game together, we're gonna just make a decision quick and it was between. I would have rather had Ariana, but like I said, Dina put her foot in her mouth. So
and
I was going to support Justin there.
That round, I was just like, I'm not the type of person to just like sit and like shut up. But at that round, I was like, I need to just sit and shut up because somebody else is going to dig their own grave. And fortunately for me, it happened. You know,
that really helped you out at the final 4, right, Ariana?
Oh God, yeah, I really. I should
the only thing I knew.
We started a grave digging company, Ariana. We didn't do it for a while.
I'm
the only
like,
thing I
I
knew at
feel
this
so
point,
stupid about that, but
nah. Well, we'll get there.
But this also goes back to the whole, it was 1 a.m. and we were dead.
Yeah. I probably foolishly, I mean, I guess foolishly because he won, I was very loyal to Johnny, so I knew at the final 5 that he wasn't going home either. It was definitely between Ariana and Dina.
Oh yeah, I felt that. I knew that. That's why I was just like gonna sit there and like shut up. But then like it was like 2 a.m. and then in the next turn it was like, oh God, like I can't just like shut up. And then I just like, yeah.
Well, I just feel like Justin attacked me right away. It wasn't like it was going for Ariana, and then I was like, wait, what about me?
Well, him and Johnny were taking similar approaches. They were both just talking as fast as they could, starting from the final 6 kind of on.
Yeah, and he was just like, Dina, 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 Dina. And like my gut instinct when someone that says Dina, it's like, well, then what the fuck was Justin? Like, you know what I mean? And so, but for me, because I wasn't thinking fast enough to be able to do the math as to like who's voting or what's going on or what's happening, that happened really quickly. I think that I could have done better to play off how much Nicole and I had worked together and how likely it would be that we could have done something together and gotten there. But it was just such a gut reaction of like someone's attacking me, so I attacked that person back.
Yeah, no, you could have made a plea in our relationship too, and then you could have had the same safety that Johnny had because we were tight. Ariana was the one that had the least tight relationship with at this point.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what kind of like,
a lot of my people left pre-jury. So that's one thing that a lot of you guys did better than me, is that like I couldn't read most of you except for Nicole and Johnny, and like more inaccurately about Johnny, but I couldn't read most of you that well. And I didn't really know where you were at. Whereas a lot of my people, that's why I harp on like the Sam vote, or like when Crystal dragged Joe, that was like a huge part of my game. And even if he was going to turn on me later, at least I knew how to read him because I had read him several times. Whereas even if like Mary and Ariana were on my side, I didn't know. Exactly.
Anybody. I really did not have that great of a perception on all of you. Well, the way I play games is I truly take what everyone says to me at face value. And if you're choosing to lie to me, then I'll just believe your lies because that's what you want me to believe. And that means I'm benefiting you. So if I,
that's why you're a 20-something-year-old male. That's a nice way to live, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm a very complacent kind of individual. I truly try. I keep a mentality. I like to keep myself as happy as possible, which is why arguing about people's strategies doesn't benefit me because then I just get mad. But like the way I saw it, I just had a point. What was I talking about?
Believing people.
ADHD. It's like ridiculous. What was I just?
You were saying.
Believing
if someone's
people.
telling you something at face value or lying, you're just gonna trust it.
You can't read people.
If you're spending so much time reading if people are lying to you or not, you're getting more paranoid about people when really you just got to look at the people who you think are the way that I think it should go. Take all the big threats to jury and then let those big threats just absolutely murder each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things that just like worked out for me so well. And it's such a simplistic strategy that I guess got me my win. But it's really just like, if you just like, you don't have to take what everyone says at face value, but if you do, then you have a lot more time to think about how you can maneuver around the twist and not be eliminated, opposed to thinking about who you trust and who you don't trust. Because I really think what bit a lot of people at the end was thinking about who they could trust and who they didn't, and not just trying to figure out how to survive. Because ultimately, we're all playing as individuals, and all of us want to win for ourselves. I don't want to win for Mary. I don't want to win for Dina. I don't want to win for Ariana. I don't want to win for Nicole. So, like, at the end of the day, like, you're playing for yourself, and that's how you should try to look at it.
But I think that's also why you should also keep people who aren't threats, because you have more likely of a chance to beat them. So I think that's another thing you got to keep in mind.
Here's the thing, though. See, like everybody.
I don't like bringing the goats. Not like goats. Sorry, Ariana. I just don't like bringing a weaker player. Like the people who I think are quiet are the people who I always target early, because if they hear that I'm throwing out their name, they can't fight me on it because they're not loud. Like, not to use Alyssa as an example, but Alyssa, who was probably the most passive player in this entire game. Like, if I was throwing out Alyssa's name, I'm not worried about Alyssa coming back at me.
Right. I feel like her video killed her. Like, you should never make a video with, like, someone else.
Yeah, she shouldn't have said that I was, like, basically told to do this. It should be like, I want to be here.
I don't think any of you were here when we were talking about Alyssa earlier. She's also my ex-girlfriend, which no one really knew.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
I was so,
read about it since
I had no
then.
idea.
Did you guys used to watch Sequester together or something? Like, how are you both in this
We're both Survivor fans. I met her because we're both Survivor fans. That's how we met.
Did Audrey know that you guys were exes, or was it just like a coincidence?
I don't,
because that would be so funny if she did that on
I
purpose.
feel like casting.
I really
Yeah.
don't think she knew at all.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think Audrey knew my dating history.
I think it makes it funnier that like you won a game that your ex-girlfriend was in. Like
Yeah,
1,000 years from now,
22, and I came in first.
no one's gonna know that like Alyssa didn't really do anything in this game, and you could and she was after me, and like I won nonetheless. You know, like your story. I feel like one thing that Johnny spoke about that I think is really important, because I always think about this and that like we don't think about like how our brain is actually its own like finite resource. And if you're thinking, and they talk about this in Survivor a lot, like if you're thinking about too many things at once, it makes it more difficult for you to be clear-headed about what comes next. And I think that the notion of taking people at face value so you're not overthinking certain things is super helpful. I think the difference though for me, Johnny, is that like I naturally, because of like who I am and my profession, I can't ever take anyone at face value. So like that's its own kind of value principle of figuring out how to be a little bit different than your real life.
Yeah,
I think Nicole talked about that a lot too.
I work in sales, so I take everyone at face value.
Yeah.
So that's just like my thing. It's like I literally take people at face value. And
Oh my God, you could literally sell me a junk car, can't you, Johnny? Like, that's a fact.
Never mind.
You could tell me awful shit, can't you? But yeah, so I'm a lawyer, so my whole life is about kind of.
I can see you
looking
as a
at
great
people.
lawyer, Dina.
Thank you. If anyone wants to give me more jobs, feel free to send it my way. Oh, nice.
Oh,
Thank you.
Interesting.
Thank you,
There you
Brayden.
Yeah, I
So
don't.
now
That's a good
to
breaking
get into
news.
to get into the final four after Dina's exit. This was an interesting. I mean, it's always an interesting round in Sequester, but
It was hard
I
for me
actually.
too.
Yeah, I actually
It's not what I
thought
wanted.
Ariana's approach was a good approach. The way you started is you had a name, you named Nicole right off the bat, and I
Mhm.
thought the other two would just go along with it and it would be an easy vote, but it kind of.
And I would have known what to do in that
too.
situation. I would have spoken up as well. If that had happened, it would have been way more fun.
Yeah.
But it's not
Honestly,
what
and
happened.
because here's the thing, during the evens and odds rounds, me, Johnny, and Justin, we're all in a room together and we're solid. And I'm kind of like Johnny in the way where I take things at like face value. And Justin was like, I'm solid with you. I trust you. I'm 100%. I didn't know he was going back behind my back and like lying directly to my face, not throwing votes, you know, like I didn't know he was doing that. And so when Nicole was like, actually, me and Justin and Johnny are way closer than you think, I was like, crap. But then Johnny started throwing out Justin's name, and then I was like, okay, cool. So we can at least tie this or something. And then I dug my own grave by going, okay, Justin, I'm dragging you if you vote for me, which was so dumb. I should have told Johnny, if you don't vote with me, I'm dragging you. And then.
Or you say, Justin, I'm dragging you unless you vote for Johnny.
Yeah,
We do
I
one of
know.
those two
I know.
things.
I
No
know.
one threw out my
I
name
just.
that entire time. That was like kind of nuts.
I know. I know.
Yeah, you have to threaten to drag them unless they vote with you. You can't threaten to drag them.
It
if
was.
they're
I
vote
feel
against
your
you.
pain.
It was 2 a.m. My brain had officially turned off, and I wasn't. Here's the thing. This is my first Sequester game ever. I never played this before. I discovered
yeah, me
Sequester
too.
like a week ago. In case anybody didn't know this, I had just binged like all the minis after I found it because I thought this game was like so freaking awesome. So I didn't know what to do. I thought I was gonna be the first boot out. You know, like all day yesterday, I was like, what am I going to do if I make it to Final Four? What am I going to do if I make it to Final Five? Like the whole time I was like, there's no way I'm getting like past jury, you know? So I was just fried. I was just dumb. I deserved to be booted out at that point because I was stupid and I dug my own grave.
It was hard. And I felt frustrated because it was like, for me, I felt like I was in the position where I was the person who got chosen to not do the final fire making challenge. You know, because I was going to get through no matter what, apparently. And so I was like, I don't have anything to say.
I know.
And if I say something,
you know,
if I got voted out,
I ruined the only good.
If I got voted out, I would have dragged Nicole. But,
yeah.
You didn't say that to anyone.
Of course I didn't say that to anybody because
I was afraid that you'd drag me, Johnny. That's
why.
why.
So like, here's the thing: is like, now that if I'm a fourth placer, I'm a juror. So like, if I get to choose like who I believe
played the best game,
who I believe would make the most competitive finale, that's probably what I would have done. And that's what I would have gone for if I came in fourth. That's what I always would have done.
But then why wouldn't you drag Justin if you're looking for a competitive finale?
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
Because I don't think really Justin did anything.
I didn't see him in the final four.
I was under the perception Justin was doing a lot. I talked to Justin a good amount throughout the game. I had good social relationships with probably everyone that was in the top 12. And like Justin at that point, like I had talked to a ton and he had told me who he liked and didn't like. And a lot of the people he liked were already eliminated by the final four. That's when I was trying to really get that final four to be Nicole, Ariana, and Justin. And then also once we got to the final four, I knew Ariana was the biggest player. The second Ariana started speaking first, as long as she didn't say my name, I knew I was like, my goal was to make her look stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but like once you threw out Nicole's name and you said that me, you and Justin should work together, I was like, Ariana, you're wrong. Like Justin hasn't been with us. Like he's not loyal. And I wanted to like make you be mad at Justin. And by doing that, you and Justin were really able to go after each other.
Yeah.
And you were threatening each other to the point that I already knew I had the final two with Nicole locked up. And I tried to keep it quiet at that point. Like,
I know.
Right.
And here's the thing. If I was in your position, I would have done the like literally exact same thing. If my brain wasn't totally like, if I ever do a sequester again, I'm going to like sleep before so that my brain still functions.
New meta strategy. Someone said that in the chat earlier.
Yeah.
Napping.
And combo load.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I was starving by the end.
I just didn't know what to do. I was just like, up to that point, I feel like I played a pretty good game. Not to like toot my
played an
horn.
You did really well.
Best game of the 4 people in the final four, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and so I just set myself up for failure when I was like, Justin, I'm dragging you, but I'm voting for you too. Like, what a dumb thing for me to say. I was just, at that point, I was just like, what do I like? Yeah, I was just tired,
Yeah.
Oh, so
But
stupid. I've literally
regardless
been
of,
replaying that moment over and over and over.
But regardless of what everybody,
next weekend.
Johnny, I want to say, like, you know how you said you came in and you were like, this is what my plan's going to be. I feel like though you have to always think about it's never going to go as you planned, and you have to redirect and think on the fly, and like
Mary,
that's where you get tripped up.
I got so lucky this game. I can't even say it any other way. I think any of these social strategic games that we all play, it's 50% luck and 50% strategic social.
Oh,
and
100%.
all of that.
100%.
And I got so unbelievably lucky that you guys.
You put yourself in a fucking wheel, bro. You got really lucky.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
okay, that's the thing. We're not talking about that. But like, oh come on.
Oh god.
Yeah, I just feel like I like had planned in my mind like certain things I would do, and it's like I didn't even do any of that because I had to redirect based off of what was happening. So as much as you want to like study the game and prepare and do things that you're supposed to do, things happen and change, and you have to redirect and come up with things on the fly.
Well, that's what worked out for me this game. Didn't work out for me in my second game. So, like, the second game that I played the exact way that you're describing right now, where this game that we played last night, I truly got so blissfully lucky that no one was throwing out my name. All of the people who made it to that point genuinely trusted me, and my plan worked. Most of the time, the plans don't work. A lot of people come in with strategies, your strategy doesn't work. I got lucky. And I think that's really what my win boils down to. And I think, like, I want to talk about the finale in a bit because what I did during the finale was to replicate what I had seen from Dash a few weeks before.
Well, so the final four,
and we got to do that.
It culminated with, of course, Ariana, you being eliminated. You dragged Justin,
Right.
and that left us with Johnny and Nicole in the final two. And let's get into it. Let's talk the jury questions. Let's talk the answers and what maybe swayed your vote one way or the other for those of you who were in the jury.
My vote was swayed. I thought I was going to vote for Johnny, but then based off of the way you responded to the questions and your speech, Nicole, I thought did a better job and swayed my vote that way. I said it earlier, but like the 2 points where like you lost my vote was when I asked what was your greatest move, and you said trying to use the LOS on Lavina, but it didn't work. I thought like you should have said something that actually went through. What you just said just now about your final four plan on how you got Ariana and Justin to switch against each other, you should have said that. because you would have had me at that. I would have been like, that's genius, that's great.
So what sorry, go ahead.
And then also the last thing was, I think it was Jonathan asked you, and you said social game has nothing to do with this. It's strategy only. That also.
Yeah, I saw someone say that on Twitter, and maybe those words came out of my mouth, but that is not something I believe at all. My whole game was surrounded around that social game. And unfortunately for me, it truly was a mix of, at the time I made the finale, I'll admit, I was a little drunker than I wish I was. I've literally, like, I was not out of control, but at the same time, I knew I wanted to do exactly what Dash had done in the past, because I knew all of the people who had made it to this point really liked Sequester, and I wanted to let you all know how much Sequester meant to me more than Nicole, because I feel like I have known about Sequester more. So when a lot of people were pointing their questions about how I feel about Sequester and this and that and the third, at the end of the day, I like Sequester. Like, I watch it on a Friday or Saturday night if I have time. But believe me, I'm not making snacks, getting ready for every mini at 8 o'clock every weekend and buckling down all weekend and watching. I just fabricated a story for myself at the end that I hope people related to. All of that stuff that I said, that I was crying, and like, I wasn't even crying. I was just getting over hyper sensitive, I guess. It was all fabricated to just try to earn jury support. And then the only other thing that I did strategically in the finale was I tried to answer all the questions by just talking about different points of the game, which obviously failed me, because if I really just like tried to be straight up and talk about my few very things that I did well, I could have probably touched on a different big move. Maybe I would have gotten your vote. Maybe I would have gotten, I know someone else messaged me after the game and told me that I lost their vote that way as well. It was Jonathan. So, or like, I not messaged me, but like I knew like I lost their vote that way as well. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I did at the end, and I almost feel bad saying it like that, but I've literally, I watched Dash win that way. Like, I watched his whole entire movie, and I figured that was going to be the best way that I could win, because truthfully, I don't think I'm as proud of the strategic game I played as a lot of you guys are, so I wanted to fabricate something for myself at the end, and at the end of the day, that is really what I did in the finale, and I lied a few times during the finale. I don't even remember what they all were. I plan on watching it back. But I know I was not honest when I was in the finals, and it was strictly just to appeal to jury votes. And that's really what happened in the finale.
That's smart, though. That is smart. And again, like, we wouldn't have known that you were lying about all that stuff. But
exactly.
That's smart.
Like, I think you're lying, though, to like appease jury votes may have had the opposite effect, because a lot of people like online, they were like, oh, this is a solid 7-0 vote. And I think the reason that people didn't vote for you was because you like did lie, and you were like contradicting yourself, and I think that's what cost you 3 votes.
Yes, I agree. Well, yeah, I don't know what you guys were thinking, of course. I think that I replicated my end game off of a winner who had a very controversial win, and I feel like that was a flaw on my part as well. So I agree with all of what you guys are saying. All of you guys are 100% correct. At the end of the day, like, when you're in that moment, you just got to think, like, literally in under 7 seconds what you're about to say and how it could have the biggest impact. And, like, I just tried to have the biggest impact with what I was saying as I could. And I guess it landed me with a win. Granted, I could have maybe won with more votes, but I also tried to take an approach to appeal to the most amount of jurors. Like, with my questions, I was trying to focus on social and strategic. And then with my finale, if people were really not pulled by my social and strategic game, I wanted to pull them by my love for Sequester.
Well, real quick, I want to get Dina's perspective, because I know that she has to head out soon. So let's discuss your vote.
And I do too, actually.
Okay, sure. Let's all wrap up and finish this up. Let's send.
Yeah, we're about to watch Sequester in an hour and a half.
Absolutely.
I feel as tired right now as I did at 1 a.m. yesterday.
Yeah, I hate to toot my own horn, but I felt pretty strongly that if I had been able to get through, that I would have been a strong shot at the jury. And if by that logic, if Johnny was the reason I got out, right, then I felt like Johnny deserved that win. And I also felt like I worked pretty strongly with Nicole and Johnny throughout the whole game. And if Nicole had also, Nicole was literally the one who voted me out, but Johnny was the one who strategically voted me out by convincing me to vote out Mary, by kind of convincing me that I was his number one. And so even though I really wanted to reward Nicole's game because she was such a strong ally to me, and I wanted to reward a newbie, I thought she played so great. I wanted to give the win to the person that I felt played me, like literally played me. The person who I felt like was the reason why I didn't win, and someone whose game I like respected. But I think that one of the things that kind of upset me later was seeing a little bit of the commentary. You know, sometimes we talk about strategic players not being like as important, but like, guys, like there are no editors. Like you are watching how incredible these strategic players, these social players are. Like you are watching real life relationships being developed. You're seeing how long that goes. And Nicole had one of the best strategic games I've ever seen. Social games I've ever seen. And so you can't discount the fact that she felt so safe, that she had so many LOSs, and that she was able to get there. But as soon as she wasn't the one to take me out, especially because I got so far, especially because I felt like I was such a big threat, I kind of had to give it to him very begrudgingly. Go ahead. I just wanted to say, I hope I get to play with you guys all again. I hope we get to like stay in touch. This has been so much fun.
Absolutely.
Quarantine has been so tough, and we're going to be living in these weird times. So having a virtual game and virtual friends just feels like, you know, incredible. So and thank you, TR, for having me on.
Of course. Thank you for coming on, everyone. You know, keep in touch with Dina down below. We have our socials.
I'm super creative. So that is my first and last name. And you'll get to mostly see pictures of my dog. So you know exactly what my brand is.
We like that. So it's fun.
Thank you, Dina.
I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So who wants to talk their vote next? Who's got to go next?
I'm okay doing either. Do you want to go first, Mary, or do you want me to go first?
I pretty much said, you know, that I was originally going to be voting for Johnny. I thought game-wise, again, kind of what like Dina said, you got me out. You played me on that round. I think you played a really good game, but you lost me during the questions and speeches. I just didn't think you had a strong enough argument in some of the stuff you were saying. Either like the fact that you didn't include the social aspect to it. I don't know. That really bothered me. I don't know why, but it really bothered me that you were discounting that. And then I just think you needed a stronger argument because you did play really big moves. You had a ton. You not just one. You had a ton. So I wanted you to give me your resume.
I think
So
she
that was
did it because I think okay, that's fine, maybe, but
sorry.
Did you hear me?
My resume? Sorry, I heard.
No, I wanted Johnny's resume. I wanted him to, I think he had more than one big move. Yeah. I don't think he just had one. He had multiple, and I wanted him to list them. You got me out. You got Ariana to drag Justin. You had at least that's two right there. So like, and the move you gave me was almost saving Lavina.
Yeah, I had a few more, and I feel like I blew a few questions.
So you had my vote prior to that. I think you did an awesome game, not discounting Nicole. Nicole, you had an awesome game too, but I think Nicole was more composed and was able to say like, yeah, I didn't have to be vocal, but you know, I was good with everybody. I didn't need to be, you know, and that I think it says something.
And this is tough because I know a lot of people came in like with the sole goal of winning. I came in with the sole goal of not thinking I could win and having fun, and then I stumbled into the win. So like you understand why a lot of the stuff I was saying was super like contradictory, because honestly, my strategy was to have a really fun Friday night because I've been doing nothing for the past few weeks. So like when I got to play, I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna have a fun Friday night. Like that was like I drank because I haven't been able to go out with my friends, and like I go to the bar every weekend. So like that's like that was like literally what I was trying to replicate for myself so I could have as much fun. And then of course I stumbled into my win. I know that's why a lot of the stuff that happened with me was confusing. Which is fine because we all had fun, and at the end of the day.
I had a great time. I'm so glad I got to meet all of you. It was an awesome night, and it's I hope we could all play together in the future soon, and if not, at least talk about it online, because I think the Sequester community is great. I stumbled upon it because of the BBCAN BBUS game, and I'm like, how did I not know about this prior?
Yeah, me too,
like, how did I not know about this great game? And it's such a
bring
great
our half one first, actually.
Wait, sorry, Emily. Never mind. I was gonna say, did you go to Cornell?
I did.
I went to Ithaca. That's it.
No way. More things.
Same town.
Well, thank you so much, Mary. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely, and we look forward to seeing you in the next mini.
Yes, I will definitely play again.
We need
so,
better.
I'm playing again.
Let's go.
And now it's gonna be different because now as a vet, I'm like obviously not gonna push we have to get vets out. So now it's like gotta flip that, strategy. So
There
we'll
you
see how
go.
that works.
Exactly. That'll be see how you maneuver that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, Mary. Thank you so much.
Okay.
right.
So
love in the chat.
And there were 3.
So I'll quickly discuss my vote. So the reason I voted for Johnny is because I feel like he played the game that like I wanted to play. I was just stupid towards at the Final Four, and he did the thing that I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, that's a major thing. He got somebody out and then got them to drag their opposition. And I was like, that's what I wanted to do. I just like wasn't like awake enough to do it. So I felt like that was a pretty big game move, and I feel like that's why that was one of the biggest factors. And then also when I don't really like remember exactly what I said because I was so tired, but I think one of my questions was like, people think that I was like handing it to Johnny, which was stupid. It's not true, but that's what people like said. And it was like, Nicole, tell me something that give me a really solid, like good reason why you deserve the win, like, and I feel like that's like a pretty fair question that most people get asked around like Final 2. And I feel like you didn't like fight for it enough for me. You gave me
I feel like I was repeating myself a lot by this time.
Yeah, I heard like basically what you told me was like the same stuff that I'd heard the past all other jurors say. And I was like, she didn't say enough for me to really like swing my vote. So that was the only reason. I think you played an amazing social strategic game. You had all these people coming to you, like being like, oh, you're my number one. You're my number one. It's just like, I don't feel like you like fought for it hard enough at the end.
Yeah, I think that I just had a hard time recalling a lot of the things at that point.
Yeah.
And so I know that I needed, next time I will definitely take notes that are more like, at this point, this is what happened that I'm proud of. And this is what I thought was going to happen and things like that, because
I think if you do that, if you take like specific notes and you can like know what you did and you make it to another Final 2, you'll for sure win. Like you could definitely like, I think that was just like, that was the only reason I didn't vote for you. It was just because like you didn't fight hard enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was 4-3, like I guess I was the swing vote. I didn't know I was.
Expected. I was very aware that I had played a quiet game and people don't love that. And I hadn't wanted to.
I think people do like appreciate a quiet game if they do like pull out the stops, like the game against like Jacob and Kim. I feel like he deserved more votes than he got. I think you and Jacob played a very similar game. I think the reason he didn't get more votes is because the person that he was against, not because of the moves that he made. And I think if you would have just spoken up a little bit more and tried to fight for it, you could have persuaded me.
I could have remembered more.
But,
and hindsight's 2020. Going to bed and all this morning and recounting the story to my husband. Oh man, should have heard all the great things that came out of my mouth. That's fine.
Oh, you should have heard what I was thinking to myself about like what I should have said for Final Four. Oh God, biggest regret of my life. Oh my God, this was so much fun. Okay.
Do you plan on playing another
Anybody
mini
else?
time soon in the future?
I would love to plan another mini. I want to do everything. I want to plan another mini. I want to mod a mini. I want to be in the live one if I could. I want to do everything. I love this show so much. I can't believe I found it the same way Mary found it. I was watching just like whatever, it's just like a
like videos.
Big Brother on YouTube. Yeah, just old videos. And this BB Can versus BBUS Sequester popped up and I'm like, what's that? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so freaking cool. It's like Big Brother, but it's hours instead of months. And I was like, I gotta get into this. Became a patron the next day, applied the first time I could. It was just fantastic. So thank you guys so much for having me on. And I just so humbled that I got to Final Four my first time playing. I thought I was gonna be first boot. You
did a great job.
You did a beyond great.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to come on the show. We really appreciate it. So,
thank you guys so much for inviting me.
Be sure to check out her Twitter down below. Keep in touch with her after the show. Thank you, Ariana.
Bye, Ariana.
Bye. All right. Now, you two, any final thoughts on the game?
By a vote of 4 to
3.
So close. I did not think I was going to get 3 votes.
You want to know what? I truly
so proud.
believe that like you played a game that I would have voted for. At the end of the day, I would have not voted for myself either. I just thought the Sequester jury would because that's what I thought they did in the past. And it's like such a like I think when we play a game for 5 hours and people barely know us as people, they're just voting off of a whim and they're voting off of me breathing wrong during the finale. Like that's literally what it comes down to. So you could have and should have won, honestly, if you ask me. And I'm not just saying that. Like not should have. I mean, like obviously, like I like my win. I'll take it.
You do take it, please.
Really well too, and it wasn't just a second place game. It just so happens that you came in second place.
Yes. Well, thank you.
That was one of the things that I was thinking of looking back at last night. It was just two such different approaches to the game. And it really just depends on what you value as a juror, that if you're looking at a different jury, it could be completely flipped, which I think is the joy of Sequester, is you get to see, you know, different strategies and different approaches basically every time it happens twice a week and see what wins out. So it was fun to watch.
It's probably, in my opinion, of all of the games that we watch, I think they're all social experiments and what really shows the most of people. And I believe Sequester shows the most of how people truly are as individuals, opposed to Survivor, Big Brother, and The Challenge, where a lot of people are doing what they're doing for the camera or because they're playing for a lot of money. I feel like we're actually showcasing us as individuals, and each game is so different. And it's so entertaining to watch, truly.
Couldn't agree more. Nicole, do you plan on playing another mini anytime in the future?
Possibly. It is a little bit taxing on our family in this stage, so we'll see. But I had a blast.
Well, if you ever do, I would love to see you play again. I think that you really did a fantastic job. Everyone talking about your social game, like I don't know if we hyped that enough, but you really did have a fantastic social game. And it's tough in a game like that when the audience is only seeing a small percentage of the rooms and the game going on, to be able to appreciate the players that aren't as flashy as other players or making as big of gambles. So just know that people are noticing your gameplay, and it's not going unappreciated.
And one day, if I come back, I will be better at speaking, and I hope that people are not disappointed if they ever see my quiet person back again. But
you don't need to be any better than you already are.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nicole. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show.
Bye, Nicole.
Check out her Twitter down below.
Thanks. I'm gonna head out. Bye, guys.
And Johnny.
Hello.
What's going on, man? All right, we're about to launch into the Survivor mini for tonight, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at about an hour and 8 minutes. However, if you are a glutton for extra bonus content, Taryn, I believe, is starting a stream in 7 minutes to actually watch the whole show, but he's starting an hour in advance to discuss it beforehand, so you can check that out. And I'm going to be please, Johnny, please.
I was going to say, I wanted to ask everyone in the final 6 who their winner picks were, but now they're all gone. So do you guys have winner picks for tonight? Because the second I saw the cast, one person I am so confident in, but I want to go third if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, Louie, do you want to go ahead?
My initial thought when seeing the cast, not where my heart is going, but where my head is going, is Lauren Beck.
Okay. TR?
Well, I'm not, I don't know the players as well as some of these other people, but going specifically off of our Podquester Mini Survivor draft that we did earlier this week, the chart of which I will be posting in the next 20 minutes on Twitter. So you can, for what that's worth, it could be drowned in the sea of other drafts. But I'm going to be rooting for Jamal, Rick Devens, PG, or Sunday. That's who I have on my team.
Those are all big names. I'm like literally a Survivor addict. Like I probably can't go more than 2 weeks without like binging a season, like any of the seasons. Like it's like a really bad addiction. And I'm so ridiculously excited for this mini tonight. I am so confident, and I hope I'm like not eating my words now. I think Sunday is going to take this thing, and
wow.
she's gonna. she played in a Survivor Maryland live game with all Survivor Maryland players and like herself and Adam Klein and a few other big names, and she won that. She's played a bunch of little games, and all the people who have played Millennials vs. Gen X and did deep dives, because I listen to RHAP all the time, so they've done deep dives with all the players. I listened to it back in Millennials vs. Gen X. They all said that Sunday was so under-edited. They all said that Sunday is so impressive. I really also feel like that she's such a charismatic person going into this game tonight. She's not going to fight anybody. She's not going to be in turmoil. I really feel good about Sunday. That's where I'm putting my money where my mouth is. But we'll see what it comes down to. I'm also so excited for Winners at War. I'll say that game, I'll actually, like, of course, like, try to take seriously. Like, I took this game seriously, too. Like, I don't want people to think I didn't take it seriously, but, like, I played, like, a game bot my first 2 times, and I was just pissed when I lost. So I didn't want to be pissed when I lost this one. That was my goal going into it. And then I won, so I didn't lose, so I wasn't pissed. And we'll see how next weekend goes. I'm excited for it, so...
It's going to be interesting. We're being hit with nonstop content. I mean, we've got the Survivor one this week. We've got the Winners at War next week. What's next? I don't know. Something probably equally as great. But didn't Audrey tease something else coming up this summer?
I think Audrey's got a lot of cool stuff in store. I know she wants to do the 2-week-long, the OG Sequester that she used to do. She wants to do one of those coming up soon, and hopefully a few others as the summer progresses. I know with the Survivor Mini and the Winners at War, I'm sure she's backed up with it, but I highly recommend a lot of people really watching that as well, because those is how I got into Sequester, watching the 2-hour-long ones. And one of my really good online friends actually played one of those, and that's how I got into it. So I highly recommend watching that if it does happen. I think it will, and I'm sure she's going to get a kick-ass cast for it. Oh, yeah. I know I can't ever play a mini after Winners at War again. My track record is too bad. So yeah.
I'm going to go solo on the screen for a second, so don't go anywhere. But if you're interested in watching the mini tonight, which you should be, you can check it out by going to sequesteraccess.com/live feed. The live feed tab right there. There's videos on how to watch the game right there. The leaderboard down here with some of the winners, and then the game down below. And of course, if you're a fan of Sequester, if you're a fan of the community, of everything that Audrey has done and put together, show your support by becoming a member of the Sequester Patreon. There's several different payment tiers depending on how much or little that you're feeling generous to donate. But you can sign up, and then you could play a mini, and then you could be on this podcast, and then we could be talking about you and praising you or critiquing you or memeing you or whatever. It'll be fun. So come on the show and check out the mini tonight, and check out Taryn's stream. Stream coming up in 3 minutes. And yeah, I think that's it. Guys, any final comments? Anything before we head out here?
If you have watched this entire 4-hour thing, I appreciate your dedication to Sequester, and you need to go take a nap.
Oh, and yes, before I forget, I want to thank my moderators in the chat. I'm so sorry I've forgotten this so many times, but thank you to Kevin and Marcus for keeping the peace in the chat. You're so brave, you boys. I appreciate all you do. All right. Well, thank you. If you have stuck around this time, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's get hyped for Survivor Mini. Woo!